It's Tuesday night at 6 o'clock in the central area. It's 7 on the East Coast and like 4 o'clock on the West. Welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. It's almost after dark some places. And
it's raining here, so
it's daylight savings after dark.
Well, yeah,
it's still sunny and bright here in South Carolina.
Well, lucky you. With us today, as always, we have the resident physician for all your entertainment needs. He doesn't have an actual PhD, but he does pretend he does on TV. Script Doctor, the PhD. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing the best I can, thank you. And we also have with us from the Crow's Nest, the one, the only, Jesse Miller.
Hi, everybody.
He works for NASA now.
I do, or at least I should.
You probably are smarter than most of the kids there.
Well, give me a box full of shit and I could solve a problem.
Yeah.
I saw it in a movie once. It was pretty good. Clint Howard was in it.
Houston, we have a problem. And with us also, we have the one, the only Mexican Iron Man. How you doing, Mike?
Very well, sir. Ready to rock and roll.
You are ready to rock and roll indeed. We got a lot of stories, not like a bunch of big ones, but like a plethora of stories to go through. Y'all sent me a few, but I grabbed up a couples. But there's one that Script brought to me that was very interesting right at the last moment that nobody else has really been talking about. Our buddy over at Orville Nation, PJ, did an interview with a gentleman. You want to set this up, Script, real quick before we get into this?
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, on Monday before Toxic Femme, PJ over at Overall Nation does a Dark Matter panel with Joe Malozzi, and just yesterday's and with our own Nina Infinity. And just yesterday, he brought on an actor, a writer, and someone who taught me when I was very young, starting out, Andrew Moody. And Andrew Moody complimented his work on other shows, including Dark Matter, but he also revealed a little bit of information about his experience on Star Trek Discovery, one of the season 2 episodes that he was on, the only season 2 episode he was on. And he revealed some pretty interesting information about that experience.
Yeah, and I'm about to play that clip, but first I'm going to grab this super sticker from the one, the only deranged lunatic. He's licking that titty, isn't he? I don't know what the sticker is. I got to bring it up.
It's a pooper sticker.
It's a pooper sticker. Well, coming from deranged lunatic, I'm not surprised.
Well,
Thank you for that.
He has said I need a mile of that just to see where it came from.
I love
the worst joke ever.
So with that, I'm not going to waste too much more time. I want to let a few more people kind of roll in. And yes, that's right, 6. PJ is awesome. So while we're waiting for people to roll in, I'm just going to say hello to everybody quick, and then we're going to play this clip. Okay. But yeah, we got some insight on what it was like to be behind the scenes at Star Trek Discovery.
Well,
so,
Paul, if you need some filler, Tom, I have interesting and exciting news.
What's that?
Well, you know how I drive a Toyota Highlander SUV?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've decided that as part of diversity, inclusion, and equity, which is a new big buzzword apparently in the last few months.
Equity does not exist in nature.
Well, I just don't feel good driving a Highlander because that makes me feel like I'm above everybody.
Well,
and
there
I'm
can
like
be only one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a SUV that gives you the quickening on a regular basis, you can't really beat that. It's kind of
hey, we're not talking about my date with that girl on Saturday night, buddy.
Ooh.
Give me the prize.
So I just decided that in order to promote diversity, I will be transitioning and renaming the Highlander to Burrito One. Burrito One shall be the new name of my SUV.
Oh,
I kind of like that.
Did you lose your head? Is that what happened?
Well, I just feel that I need what. Oh, that was a good one.
How do you say machine in Spanish?
Máquina. M-A. Yeah.
Okay. How about La Máquina Mysterio?
Oh, I like that.
That is clever. I like that.
That is clever.
Just rip it right off.
Jesse, I'm telling you, you're gonna get that honorary Latino badge. You keep this up, buddy. You're making me look bad from a Hispanic perspective.
Well, I know all the words to La Bamba, so I'm good to go.
Oh my! Hail, Donnie Pearson. What up, brother?
It doesn't
anyway,
hurt
so
them over and over.
So Tom, we're gonna start the transitioning process here, and then I'm gonna have to we're gonna change from Highlander to Burrito One, just so that the people feel that I'm approachable and all that. Yeah,
I'm all for that, and I just want to say hello, of course, to 6, who's here. How you doing? We got Eric Draven. We got Cosmo James. We got Andrew 46 and 2. We got Jesse for some reason in the chat, even though he's on here. I'm covering up his face here. I'll move you there.
Oh no.
And we also have House of Trades. We got BK Panther. We got Lord Trinan. How you guys doing? We got John Yee. We got Hamdinger. Here I am. You always ask where I am. I'm right here. Nice to see you. We got Techman Blade. I think we even had Goddess of Whim. I thought I saw Stephanie Janicek's in the chat. Awesome. Mr. MH. I thought I saw in there as well. Tim Scorpion there. You are Eric Kelly. All the regulars are coming in. Kenneth LaRock. How you been, man? How you been? Ain't seen you around in the chat for a while, but hello. Maybe I've just missed you.
I'm finding that super chat extremely disturbing.
We got a super chat coming up. It's coming. Okay. Buck Nasty. That's not a name I've seen in the chat before, but I'm more than happy to see it. And not only is it Buck Nasty, it's Buck Nasty 1138. Oh, he's Culture. Did you want to hop in, Culture? I'll send you a link here. Fuck it. If you're not busy.
Oh, and there's Nina Infinity. Yeah.
Oh, Nina, I'll send you the link too if you're not busy. We'll have a full house tonight. Why the fuck not?
Party.
That's right.
Pizza. Who's getting the pizzas?
Somebody better order a pizza.
I want cake.
I want mine half jalapeno and pepperoni.
Culture, you come on because I make up for
sounds
being
pretty
late.
damn good.
Pepperoni's awesome. Pepperoni is the pepperoni of God.
Now I'm hungry. Dog.
I don't even think that
We
my
got
pizza
Rory
place would
Mitchell.
have habaneros or anything like that.
We got Rory Mitchell saying hello to everybody. We got Judicon in the chat. We got Mecca J. That's right. We got Donnie Pearson. How you doing, buddy? Got Annabelle hanging in there. Good to see you. War Monkey. That's a new name. If I have not seen you before, hello, welcome. And then you said something about a super chat coming in. So we had the Deranged Lunatic one. We got that one.
The diversity one.
Gotcha. It's coming right here. Tim Scorpion says diversity, inclusion, equity, DIE.
Yeah,
Ooh.
right. Like, what the hell is that?
There you go.
Yeah,
There's
Tim
something for you to
Scorpion.
run with, Jesse.
Yeah, and I'm big on that type of shit because I used to read those books about the Sufi, and they were all about rearranging letters and stuff. And I don't trust it. I don't trust
Anagrams.
it. It's secret language.
That's an
Initialisms,
anagram, right?
anagrams, yep.
Yeah. I keep getting
Cult shit.
acronym.
It's cult shit.
Anagram and acronym always mixed
So the
up.
acronym is initials that form a word, and
That's right,
initialism
okay.
is just initials.
Okay. Andrew says, that would be an acronym then?
Whichever one Gary Busey
Yes,
loves.
that'd be an acronym.
Okay, so I was wrong. Carne Asade 1 sounds much better. I'm with Andrew on this one. Mike.
That is a fine idea, Andrew. I like that. Carne asada. And I think that's awesome.
It sounds like a vehicle name.
So is the tequila mobile out?
Asada 1.
House of Drita says I got to put that on my license plate. I think we got some winners here. Carne asada 1 is definitely in the running here. But either way, I got to put this on my license plate. Get personalized.
Oh shit! Oh, I also saw Nikki D. And,
I experienced my
the
first
regulars.
discrimination in South Carolina.
Rory Mitchell sent me some pizza. And what was that?
But it wasn't for race or ethnicity or anything like that. It was the guy was filling out the thing. I was at the shipping moving place, and I was in a container, and he saw that I was filling out the form, and it's for some stuff I'm having shipped out here that I left behind. And he said, "California, you're from California?" I'm like, "Yeah." As soon as I said that, his whole tone of how he was with me changed completely. Like if we were buddies, we were cool. And as soon as he saw California, totally started treating me.
He didn't like you no more.
And then he says to me on the way out the door, "Hey," he says, just here, what did he say? "Around these parts, we just want to make sure the Californian folk don't bring their politics with them." I said, "No, sir, you won't have any problems with me. No, sir."
You should be like, "You have no idea, bro."
Up
should have
until
been like,
that,
"I'm
we
here to
were
make
buddies.
You should have been like, "I'm here to make America great again, sir."
Should be like, I'm Mexican Iron Man. I'm actively fighting the culture wars.
Dude, little does he know Mexican Iron Man's on the front lines here.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're like, "Don't worry, sir, I got this."
Yeah.
Playboy
Corona.
Keeper Universe, that's a new name. Says, "Is this spoilers for Black Widow? If so, I can't wait." Well, we are going to get into some spoilers for Black Widow here in a little bit.
They're talking about Black Widow so much today. I thought it was out already.
It is coming out this weekend, but I actually know somebody who's already seen it. I can't say who, but I will give you a quick breakdown of spoilers right after we get into this interesting bit here. Now, Script already set it up, and now that we got a few more people in here, real quick, Script. Just again, what are we about to watch here?
Well, this is Orville Nation. They do a Monday live stream on Dark Matter. In the bottom middle frame there is Joe Malozzi. He's the creator and showrunner. And to the left on the screen where Tom's wiggling his mouse cursor, that's Andrew Moody, who did a guest spot on the series. And if you were ever watching Star Trek Discovery, he also did a guest spot in the season 2 episode called Eden. And in this clip that we're about to see, Mr. Moody is going to reveal some of the experience he had making that episode.
All right, we're going to play that right now. But first, Spider Unlimited says Black Widow dies. Well, she's already dead. So,
spoiler alert, everybody.
Yeah, she's been dead. And one spoiler I will say now, she don't come back. So let's get into this. Nina was on here too. And if she pops in here, I just got a message from her. She's probably busy. Oh, she's out. All right. Well, if you can hop in later when you get it back in, that's awesome. But we're going to see what they had to say about life behind the scenes at Star Trek Discovery with Andrew Moody.
So let's just enjoy ourselves. And it was great. Like the attitude was so comfortable. As opposed to being on the set of Star Trek, which I was on the set of Star Trek. I played one of the characters on that. Worst experience. Sorry. I will be very careful about what I say.
Don't be sorry. I mean, it's your career.
I know exactly. Okay, damn. One of the things, the thing I will say about working on Star Trek is I got to work with Jonathan Frakes, and he is a gentleman. He is brilliant. He's a great director, beautiful human being, so supportive. The cast on that set, great people, wonderful people. But I could tell, what I will say is the crew and the cast were traumatized by a production team and a writer's room that was in constant flux and power dynamics where you could just tell that they felt threatened. You could tell they felt threatened. And eventually, the producers of Star Trek threatened me, and I was just like, I don't care. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Who do you think you are?
And the showrunner was fired, and then there's a new showrunner, and then I was brought in to do ADR, and they wanted me to redo my entire performance because the new showrunner didn't like my acting. Ultimately, didn't like my acting, and I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. Art is subjective. Fundamentally, it's subjective. So there's nothing you can do. I may like the Rolling Stones.
This guy totally didn't go ego trip.
They're the Rolling Stones. What are you going to do?
It is subjective, yeah.
Exactly, it's so subjective. So, but then you could just tell that something had happened. So the new people at the head of Star Trek, whoever's running it now, the crew, they're just terrified of whoever's running it now. And and so whoever's running Star Trek now is running it with an iron fist. And they didn't like anything that I did, so they completely replaced my voice. I don't know who was voicing my character.
Are you in Disco or Picard?
It's the new with the Disco, yeah. And again, and I want to make this clear, the director was great. The cast were great. The crew on that show are good people, but you can tell that the production team above them is they're terrorizing those people, and they're just terrified.
And the art suffers, the work suffers, and then this is why we get the product we get.
Yeah,
we had that very veteran. We also had that very veteran writer having to leave because of the I forget his name, but anyway,
that's Walter Mosley.
And ultimately, they tried to scare me. They're like, to be of quality of Star Trek, you have to have this performance. I'm like. What? Rich. I know.
Damn, Andrew, well, you killed it on Dark Matter, man.
Thank you. I know.
Yeah.
I gotta hand it to him. This guy's got balls.
And ultimately, if Star Trek had that kind of support from the top, then there wouldn't have been that tension. Jonathan Frakes was always cool with me, and he was always supportive, and he always like, Andrew, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much. So I don't know who. There's somebody in production somewhere in Los Angeles who is trying to terrorize people by trying to belittle them. And they tried to belittle me to say, oh, you're not good enough. And I'm like,
Alex Curtis.
What was his problem that he's black and not woke?
Did I say anything? I'm not saying anything.
No, not at all.
Maybe you're right.
Guys, I have to.
What can I say?
So,
He had a lot of guts to come out and say all
he
that.
did, and I think
He
he
really
kind
did.
of explicitly said who the fucking main problem was.
Yep.
He didn't have to
Everybody
say
would
it.
have had.
Wow.
And welcome,
Holy
Culture
hell.
Casino.
Hello. Yes,
Hey,
I
Culture.
was watching in the wings. Hey, hello. Yeah, I think he didn't beat around the bush too much there as to what was going on behind the scenes.
No script, and it sounds like every damn thing we've been reporting. No, Jesse, you said you were going to say something. Sorry.
Yeah, you could be an actor, you could be a director, you could be a million things to make a production of any sort. But it's all about who's using the pen, because that's what's coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, and so script, you actually know this individual. As
I
you
know him
said.
personally. He was one of my
Yeah.
teachers. I've known him for almost 17 years.
So judging by his body
Oh
language,
my gosh.
and the things that he said and didn't necessarily say, what is your reaction to this? Considering you know this person.
Well, you could probably tell for those watching that we do have a couple of similar things in common with regards to our convictions.
Besides being Canadian.
And also being Canadian. He's been in the business for 40 years. And so he's in a better position than I ever will be in. And so, yeah, he was able to air his issues out. Because I remember when I was, doing my not really doing the reviews, but just watching Star Trek Discovery and just groaning at it. The best episode that they had in season 2 was the one that he was in, and it had nothing. And I recognized him. And the other part too is whoever they got to do his voice fooled me. And again, as I said, I've known him for 17 years, so they matched the tone impeccably well, at least as far as I can remember. And I reached out to him and it's like, hey, congratulations for doing the show. Any chance you coming back? He's like, well, they fired showrunners, and so I don't know. And that's basically as much as he publicly would, talk about it for a while. But it looks like now he's in another position where he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna be honest and say that yes, the crew is great, and I can actually vouch for that. I know some of the crew now because they've just left production. They've actually revealed themselves to me that they were part of Star Trek Discovery, and they are actually really good people, and they have some similar stories about kind of walking on eggshells during production, even though some of the writers weren't even in the country at the time.
Hey, Script, I'm really good at telling when people are full of shit, and I could tell you exactly why he's not full of shit. Okay. When the guy came back to him and said, I didn't like any of your acting, you have to reshoot everything. He didn't get all defensive or pissy. He just said, well, it's acting, it's subjective. Okay, I'll do it again. Like there's not that ego problem there.
Yeah.
So I severely doubt that somebody like this would need to inflate their own ego by spreading rumors and lies that weren't true.
No, that's what he's been like. So this guy, he used to work. He was on the show Kung Fu: The Legend Continues.
Oh, I used to watch it all the time.
This is one of the
I was
first.
going to say, he looked familiar to me. I was trying to place
Well,
him.
he had to dress up like a shaman, and he's like, it's kind of embarrassing, but you're an actor, you do a job. And he talks about how he learned how to be a little humble because he had to come back and redo some of the scenes because it turns out David Carradine, may he rest in peace, was drunk for some of the stuff.
Not surprising.
And the takes didn't work, so he had to come back and they had to reshoot additional things, and they had to reshoot at one point in winter, and he had to be in his jungle garb where he was shirtless and wearing stuff, so they had to blow a bunch of heaters at him and put him in outdoors and stuff. And he's like, it was like humbling for him. He's realized like that this is part of the job, is sometimes you got to do crap you don't want to do, and sometimes people aren't going to like it, and you got to go back and do it again because it's not about the individual, it's about the whole of the production. And that's one of the things that he drilled into a bunch of us as his students that I learned also, trying to be very flexible in this industry. That's helped a lot, not so much in Canada, but more so in the United States for myself. And that's kind of who he is. He does a lot of theater shows. He's got a beautiful family. He's a really smart guy and a wealth of knowledge of the industry, both from Canada and from his time in the United States. And yeah, so hearing this, I mean, I'm not surprised, but I am horrified. Just put it that way. Like I expected some.
Well, it
bad
just
things to happen.
confirms everything you already knew.
It confirms things that we suspected. It's just one aspect. Hopefully, more people will start coming forward.
Well, you know what? The more
because-
that do, the more it's going to become glaringly obvious that Hollywood could fix all of its problems by just firing everyone in certain areas.
Well, it's about accountability and responsibility and what is good, behavior when it comes to a business and comes to a craft, right? And Andrew Moody in that video, in that retrospective, contrasted that with his experience on other shows, including Dark Matter. How the set was welcoming, the writers were receptive, and on top of that, they were also able to convey what they were looking for to their cast and crew, without the cast and crew having to feel insecure or on edge or tense. And that's to the benefit of the project as a whole. And that's something that at least when you're in school and you're learning about the business aspects, and you're learning about the writing aspects and the production aspects, that's type of the atmosphere you're encouraged to do. But then sometimes you get people who are insecure and behave in ways that are actually counterintuitive to the goals at hand. And unfortunately we've seen that case with Star Trek Discovery and Picard, and it also explains why they had to do reshoots for every season and why they have to go back, and the production release date is always delayed and stuff. Like it's all comes from the top down.
It's kind of like if you're trying to build a house of cards, if it keeps falling over, don't, just design the foundation a little differently next time.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, this is one where, the original creator is Brian Fuller with I'm blanking on his name first. Nicholas Meyer, and they were ejected from this show and replaced with Alex Kurtzman and Akiva Goldsman. And it tells. That's all I can say there is that it's telling.
Yeah, and then Stephen Otten sends us a super chat and says, "Hail Tom Script, Mike and Jesse and chat." Sorry, I put the and in the wrong place there. Spoil away, watch Orville Nation stream. There were some interesting topics discussed. Yeah, I threw the link for that in the description below. So after this, if you want to head on over there and hear the whole interview, go for it. And I suggest you subscribe to Orville Nation. It is a great channel. And we also had Tina Bowen show up. Thank you so much for being here. I've seen that. And a few other familiar faces. Glad you could make it, like Mike Beats Dix, Al Bundy. And
Al Bundy is the best chat name ever.
So yeah, glad to see you all here. And we're going to move along now. I do have some spoilers for Black Widow, which has anybody been paying attention to how that's been tracking with the reviewers? I know Culture, you talked a bit about it earlier, right?
Yeah, I did. And it just depends. I mean, you can tell the people who are still huffing the pixie dust and completely invested in this as like a source of revenue, access media style. And then the people who still have some integrity are really taking it to task for various different reasons. I think even Andy Signor did with Popcorn Planet did a review on it, spoiler free, kind of an idea. And I'm not sure he broke it down in any way other than to say that he thought it was a decent film or something similar. So
that means that the normies are going to go buck shit crazy over it.
I don't know if that's true, but I do know.
I work with this guy and he really loves movies, but he likes everything. Total normie mentality. But he was talking about how good Loki was, and I'm like, "Are you high?" Like, I wasn't even nice about it. I was like, "Dude, there's fundamental issues here." Like the difference between parallel universes and timelines. It's not the same thing. It's not okay.
Yeah, but you're going to have a huge chunk of audience that is just going to see past all of that. That, they're going to feel like, well, this isn't quite as good as the things I've seen before, but they're not going to be able to put their finger on it, Jesse. And I think that's, I think that's something that I have to come to grips with as well. When I look at things and go, you know what, this is not up to par. But the threshold has been set so low for entertainment recently. I mean, normies could just be like, oh no, this is better than a lot of stuff we've seen.
So, yeah, I totally felt like that with Endgame, because when they were like, we're just going to paint ourselves out of a corner with some lame Saturday morning time travel explanation, I was just like, okay, you gave up.
Well, look, anyway, getting back to Black Widow as a whole, I had no positive expectations for the film after many of the things that I had heard have started to be fleshed out, by people. Largely based on everything that we've heard so far seems to be everything that seems to be happening within the movie. So, and I'm not going to do any spoilers. I mean, I'll leave it to Tom to do that, but, I'm not looking forward to the film, and I was originally. So that's like I said, they're losing me. And
so basically, you're saying generic popcorn flick, lots of flashy action, and no substance.
Well, I can kind of give you a little breakdown of it if you guys want to. But first, let's grab the super chat. Gogol13, aka Brandon the Infinite Wolf, also one of our members. Thank you so much for that. Says Tom, Script, Jesse, Culture, and Mexican Iron Man. Just got here. Won't spend a dime to see Black Widow. Hollywood can bounce back, but a Roto-Rooter needs to happen. Yeah, that actually is going to lead into our next story as well. But yeah, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of all the bits and pieces I was told by an individual who had seen the movie. Now, this is a short take, but it kind of has like a lot of the basic breakdown of the spoilers. Basically, there's these women from the Red Room, and they're trained assassins. They were joking during the screenings that they were the diversity assassins, and it was so Disney. Natasha battles them, and they are liberated via some red gas. It's convoluted and overly plotted. Scarlett must have gotten a hefty paycheck for this, said this individual. They summed it up by saying the movie is too long, too late, and too woke. And yes, that's right. Taskmaster is, we all guessed it, a woman.
Is it a woman we've already seen in the advertising?
That I didn't get. But what I did also ask was, is there any teases for Natasha possibly being alive? And he was like, nope, she's dead for sure.
Well, that just makes the whole thing pointless. Y'all could just skip that one and read a book.
In fact, the final scene, or either the final scene or the teaser, I didn't catch which one it was, but it said the end scene here, so I'm assuming it's the final scene, is Natasha's sister, the Florence Pugh character, putting flowers on her grave, and out of nowhere, Julia Louis-Dreyfus shows up.
Elaine?
To send Pugh. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Julia Louis-Dreyfus is another Marvel villain that was introduced in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. And she is there to send Pugh on a mission to kill Hawkeye, the man who killed her sister.
Wait, there's no body for him to bring back, so what are they burying?
So basically, the entire movie is a setup for the Disney Plus series Hawkeye. The reaction from the crowd, according to them, was weak, no cheer moments, few laughs. It's very gritty, nearly R-rated. That's the only good thing that was said. Not as bad as Captain Marvel, but that's not a glowing review.
See, my problem with trailers, and it's all trailers now, but Black Widow is definitely guilty.
Says
like when you do have these people and they do these action shots and they have like this chick jumping on the outside of like an aerial craft and sliding down and doing a flip onto something else and then you do the superhero landing. It's like, you don't even have superpowers, you're dead. You've been dead 20 times over. I can't give money to something like that because it's so inherently stupid. I can't suspend my disbelief for it, even in a superhero movie. Can't do it. Just can't do it. Put them in a more realistic situation where they could get out in some realistic fashion. Hell, escaping a train full of gas would be more entertaining to me than watching someone pretend that they're Goku.
Exactly, Billy D. Saying not as bad as Captain Marvel is not saying much. And then the individual wrapped it up by saying, could have been better. If they cut 20 minutes out of it, it might have been like a 7 out of 10. but it sounds more like it's a 5 or 6 at best now out of 10. So middling. Red Guardian is good, but treated like a dumb dad from a sitcom. And of course, all men are bad.
Well, yeah.
So the new blonde
Sums it
daughter
up.
saves him, I'm assuming.
There you go, kids. That's the breakdown I got on Black Widow.
It stinks.
It stinks. There you go.
Penguins
kids.
can't fly.
That's
I
true.
can see the critics' review of this. This is the Avengers Part 24, Iron Man Part 6, Captain America 5.20, and it stinks.
Yeah,
It
you need
stinks
something
so
like
bad
Red
that
Room.
flies
How
won't
about
touch it.
Just need one of those like fake clips of Robert Downey Jr. like just having a like vamping monologue while he's in the Iron Man suit with the helmet off.
I am Iron Man. Max Relax is in the house. Sends us €5, the fancy kind. Says the most recent show that recently captivated me was Clarkson's Farm. Somebody was telling me about this show. Have you guys heard about this show?
Not one bit.
I guess it's like a quasi what do you call it? Reality show, but as script will tell you, those are still scripted, or at least not scripted, but planned out anyway.
Encouraged.
Yeah, pretty well planned out. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it's about this guy who's like a city slicker who buys a farm and learns from the ground up how to do a farm. I think it was Nina Infinity was talking about it the other night on Toxic Femme. Yeah, Max Relax says it's Top Gear on a farm. So there you go. That sounds like something to check into. Sounds interesting, and at least I haven't had a chance to watch anything.
And this
Did
is
I
a,
miss
this
Cesario?
is a new
Jesus.
IP, a completely new, brand
I'm
new thing
so
coming
sorry,
out.
Cesario. Let's see where. Oh, there it is. It jumped on me again. Okay, Cesario says, "So sorry. Were the women cured with internet? Were the women cured with internet gas? Clearly, they must have been."
Internet gas works on a lot of things.
Oh,
Fuck it. It was a final solution.
Vigilante Williamson's in the house. How you doing, buddy? Playboy Keeter comes in again with wait. So who's the woman that's Taskmaster? That I didn't get. I should ask. I'll see if I can get an
Roseanne
answer.
Barr.
Well, you know what's interesting is that if you make the woman Taskmaster, then you kind of sort of pull all the wind out of the sails with regards to the man versus woman aspect of the plot. Because I'm pretty sure there's a cast member in there, like an old guy, who is the one that's in charge of the Red Room and extorting these women.
Yeah.
And yet they decide to make Taskmaster, like perhaps this guy's, lieutenant, a woman instead of another man that's also, supporting this guy to do this. They're not thinking far ahead with their own politics on that.
Exactly. And hey, Vidge, check out his channel. And I'm so sorry. Did I miss another one completely? You got to give me a heads up, man. If I do, even message me on Twitter. Because if I do, I really hate that when I miss something. These things go by so fast. And unless I actually go through like 10 different things to go into MEAD, I can't see what was there. And then as far as the main channel, I have zero access to. So, yeah. So anyway, this movie does not sound too promising. Mike, are you back yet? I don't think Mike's back yet. So we got pretty much everybody's feeling on this. And this actually kind of goes into this next story that Mike had sent me, actually. Where'd it go?
Overall, one more thing about the Black Widow movie and the trailer and everything. I don't see the difference between this and the Snake Eyes movie. It looks like the same movie.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned. They seem like generic, kind of like offshoots of a bigger franchise, right?
Yeah, like this should have been a
Kind of
spy
feeling.
movie, man. She was supposed to be a badass spy.
It should be almost like a female James Bond.
Yeah, for real. They should,
That's what
have her
Black Widow
represent.
kind of is.
Just like in the scene when she was tied to the chair and she was like, "This idiot's giving me everything." He's like,
Yeah,
"I'm not
exactly.
giving you everything." It should be like
She's
a whole movie
toying
of
with
that.
him that
Yeah.
whole time. Exactly. Like she's the one messing with him. The other thing, like that's the funny part.
Yeah,
And then he's like,
that would have been
We got
entertaining.
shit to do, and then she kicks his ass. And it's like, yeah, we need a movie of that. I agree, Jesse.
And she looked good doing it.
Yeah, she
Damn
was
right.
awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
That and that is actually one of my favorite scenes. That's
Oh,
one of my
yeah.
favorite scenes in all of the entire Marvel run.
It was the
is
look on her face.
Yeah, just being tipped over in the chair, like they're threatening her, and she's like, "I'm fine." And then she breaks the chair, kicks their ass with the chair, frees herself, from the
Well,
chair.
you forgot the opening bit where basically Sam Jackson hacks into their deal
Oh,
out of nowhere.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, it's for you. It's like,
Yeah. Colston's on the phone. Colston's on the phone going,
or
I need
Coulson.
you to
Yeah,
come
it was
in now.
Coulson. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Colston. Yeah, he's like, I need you to come in now. She's like, I'm working. So awesome.
I love that bit. Okay, Mike's back. Great, perfect timing, Mike. We just finished up talking about Black Widow. So
Yeah, I was
didn't hear
listening
any-
the whole time. I was just
Okay,
walking
all
the
right.
dog real quick.
And Tina Bohan just sent us a lovely super chat in here. And please tell me, is it the Bohan or Bojan? Because I hear people say it two different ways all the time. Rumor has it the person running the Black Widow program is Dracov, and Taskmaster is his daughter Anya, aka Draco's daughter from the Loki's comment. I think you're right. I'm double checking with the individual who told me this stuff, but I haven't heard back from them. They're probably busy, so I don't know if I'll get an answer by the end of the show, but I will check back with that in a bit. But first, we got this story that Mike sent me that kind of bounces off of Black Widow, since that opens this weekend. Box office patience was a virtue for studios who held films, says Hollywood Reporter. Now, this is a little bit different tune they were singing about 9-10 months ago, ain't it? When they were saying, "Oh, theaters are dead, streaming is the future."
Yep. This also kind of follows up with what I was talking about when I mentioned the last week a little bit, how AMC was buying up a couple theater chains. Remember that last Thursday?
Yeah, like right last week. Yep.
Well, hey, sell off the stock and buy up some shit before the price falls out.
Well, and again, I think before we even get into this, like script, I think it keeps falling back to what I've been saying from the start is the studios have not figured out yet how to make streaming profitable enough to cover the costs of these big movies. And not only that, we've seen a string of articles lately that are kind of like trying to separate the idea of, oh, well, streaming's the perfect place for these spin-offs like Loki and Winter Soldier and all that kind of shit. But it's not going to work for these bigger movies where they need to make $300-500 million at the box office.
As a comics fan and knowing all the rabbit holes of different volumes and different iterations of different comic books, I have to say that the streaming service model for superheroes, it's overexposure.
Yeah.
Because it's too much too quickly. And it's like, same thing with comic books, but comic books came out once a month. And they're 30 pages long, and they had
but you
ads.
also had the saturation when it comes to like 30 different Batman books in a month too.
Oh my God, Wolverine was the same way.
Wolverine's the same way, but I really want to.
He was for years. There's like 5 different runs running at once. It's like that's not how you do things.
I really want to get Scripps' take on this, just like the whole kind of dynamic between the studios and the theaters now, and how that's probably changed a little bit. Have you noticed any change from your perspective at all, or how are things kind of going on your end with things?
Well, it's a little slow, but it is bringing me flashbacks of when music went digital, when you could buy one song at a time on like an iTunes, or like in the days of Napster, just after Napster, and they started doing digital downloads, and the physical media of CDs and albums was not selling as well. But at the same time, the artists themselves weren't making as much money off of that because they made money off the overhead of production for physical media. And now you're kind of seeing a similar thing with streaming. Because there isn't any overhead, there isn't any other place where they could sort of generate more money through blind or fake expenses to bring in that extra dollar through physical media, and they can't do that with streaming. So yeah, they're losing money, and it's I strongly suspect, and I mentioned it on the stream and other streams before, is that eventually theaters are going to have the bargaining power, and it's going to be used as advertisement for streaming services. That looks like it's going to be the direction. That's how theaters are going to maintain their presence, and that's how studios are going to end up making that extra money, is If they have a hit movie in theaters, that's an advertisement for their streaming service for when that film goes there. And that'll probably be one of the only places you can get it for, at least domestically within North America.
Yeah, but what kind of time frame are you thinking here? At least a
45
month,
days.
right?
45 days.
They're
is
experimenting with
average,
45 days. I suspect they might go to something a bit more traditional, like 65 or 70.
Now,
Yeah.
well, back in the day, it usually generally felt like it was about 3 months between when a movie dropped off in the theater when I could go get it down to the mom and pop video store. Are you saying
It
about
was
the
usually
same
more
time
than
frame?
that.
If you're talking about like 15 years ago, it'd be like
Sometimes
3
it
to 4
was
months,
longer
yeah.
than that.
And in the 90s, it was usually about a year. And in
When
the
I
80s,
was,
it was
yeah, I
about
was saying
18
the
months.
video store age, it all depended on how much it made in the box office. It could vary by a big margin. If it was a flop, they would generally rush it out to video as soon as possible. Like the fastest from theater to video drop that I ever recall was that from Justin to Kelly movie, the American Idol kids.
Oh, God.
Mm.
And that was in the age of DVD. But prior to that, I think the fastest I recall any movie ever coming to home video may have actually been like something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, but that was to cash in on whatever was at the time, or 2, I said. Or did I say 3 or 2?
I was thinking Adam's
Secret
Family
of the Ooze?
Values with
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
McDonald's
Secret of the News
tie-in.
came out really quick on video because it came out in March and it was already on video, I want to say, in June or July, which at that time was unheard of. But they maxed the profitability on that bitch like a some gun. So like that one's one of the rare times I remember that. But other than that, like movies would generally, especially if they were big hits, I mean, it was years sometimes before a movie would hit. Roger Rabbit took over a year to come to video.
Wow.
E.T., it was actually 5 or 6 years. Return of the Jedi was 3 years. Top Gun was one of the first big sell-through titles I remember, but prior to that, Disney was the one who kind of cornered the market on sell-through stuff. But yeah, the average was probably 6 months for video. Then it was a year for cable. And now that window has shrunk astronomically. And then 2 years for television. Now it's basically 3 months for video if you're lucky, 6 to 7 months or so for cable, and then a year already it's starting to show on television because I think John Wick 3 was just on TV the other night. So,
And you know what? That's absolutely fine because if you're waiting like, roughly 2 months, to give the movie for theaters, that's natural. I mean, not every movie is Home Alone where it's going to be in the theater for 9
that
to
was
10
another
months.
one that was a year. But of course, those are difference. That was the difference back in the day. Used to hold holiday movies off for a year.
Dude, that was insane when Home Alone came out because it's a Christmas movie playing in August.
Well, I mean, they did that even with Batman Returns. It was a summer film, but it was released the following winter. The other part too is, and again, one of the things that Hollywood is really feeling, especially since the mom and pop video stores and Blockbusters and other video chains have kind of gone under, is they're not getting all that money because this is the thing. Those rentals things had to buy all the copies of their films.
Right.
And they had to buy them in large stock, and it was usually a mass order, and it was a quick injection of cash into whoever was distributing that film. And it usually took on average, especially for your bigger chains, I think 21 to 36 days to pay off that movie through rentals before those chains would see a profit. So that was and they bought them usually at full retail price ish, maybe a couple bucks off the top. Just for like the bulk
It just
orders.
depended on the deal. Like if you were like a place like Movie Gallery or Blockbuster, they would actually order them in such like large bulk, they'd get them for dirt cheap. But now like, and by dirt cheap, I mean probably 30, 40 bucks a tape at the max, and then maybe 20, 30.
If it was like the tape stuff, I know the DVD stuff, because
DVDs were nothing.
One of the studios I worked for, Blockbuster, would spend, if the movie was being retailed on their stores for $26.99, they would spend $18.99 from the studio.
Which was still dirt cheap compared to video. So like, when DVD came in, that was a different story. But like, back in the day, video, if you bought now me as a mom and pop shop when I had my own, it was kind of a struggle because it's like, well, do I really need 10 copies of Down to Earth?
No.
Chris Rock. No, but if I don't spend that much, then it's like if I get 5 copies, I'm spending the same amount, or whatever. Because if I don't buy that 10 pack, then I don't get them for that cheaper price, and that's kind of the what do I do kind of
and
thing.
That's why Blockbuster always used to have 3 or 4 giant tables set up with movies for sale for like $2 or $3.
Well, yeah, there was that, and then there was the buyback program as well. So like you had other issues to where or not issues, but other deals to where like you could shave a little off the top because there'd be these companies that would come in and buy back the videos and sell them to other places for used, like junk stores and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then DVD was the same way. They had that was even bigger for a resale because DVDs didn't degrade like video, so they had a much higher resale value. So like
I used to kill those tables, man. I used to
like
go
movie
combing through
gallery,
every last one.
near the end, they were paying next to nothing for the DVDs because the company that was buying them back was not even really selling them. They were basically renting them to movie gallery, is what it was, kind of thing.
Hey, speaking of all this, is Redbox dead?
No,
No.
it's still alive.
Because they've been taking them out of a lot of places around here.
They don't need to really hire a full-time staff for Redbox. It's just one guy. Who
I was
tries
gonna
to
say,
do
yeah, it all depends on
loads of
if that guy is, if it's worth his time and maintenance, and if it's not, then somebody else might move in.
Yeah,
it's like a regional thing. You could probably run a couple of red boxes, Jesse.
Yeah, but is it even worth it? Because
it might be. I don't know.
Why would you even bother?
Just line them up with your own route, and then you're just passing by them anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Just find some hot spots. Adam Wolford talking about Black Widow says it's. Oh, Mike, you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
I was?
I thought you said.
Oh, no, it's when Script was talking, I was going to say the interesting, I find something interesting, two things interesting. One is that the Directors Guild issued a press release that they were taking the position that the only movies that would be considered for a Directors Award, two things happen. One is that that has to be a post-March release, hint, post-March 21, right? Post-COVID, right? Release to be considered for awards. And guess what? The Academy announced also in a press release that to be eligible for the Academy Awards for the first time in the history, they were only going to have a 9.5-month window. So they mirrored what the Directors Guild did. And basically, basically they also said this, is that there has to be a period of time whereby it's just a theatrical release. And then I got to check the article, the press release, but I think it was like the fastest that they'll allow it to be eligible for an award is if the stream comes 7 days later. Excuse me.
So basically, they're adding a whole bunch of bureaucracy to this to cover all their bases. Plus, they're making it an asterisk award anyway because it's not even for a full time.
So let's say I've got a movie coming out, right? So I mean, this is interesting, right? Because you have your HBO Max people, right, with their dual releases. Now all of a sudden, like, okay, well, if we and because Hollywood works off of self-aggrandizement and getting awards, right? I mean, that's what drives so much of it is ego and awards and shit like that, right? So now basically, if your movie wants to be eligible for an Academy Award, you basically have to let it sit in the theaters for at least 7 days or whatever the date is.
Which has always kind of been the rule in a way.
No, but now it's written down. Now it's an actual.
Well, streaming was never involved in that before, I don't think, right? Script, because that was the whole thing with Scorsese's movie a couple of years back was he had it in theaters. It has to be in theaters for what, 2 weeks? It used to be
2 to 4 weeks. Yeah,
I think because that was the whole thing with The Room, and that's why.
Why would you have your movie in a theater for shorter than that?
Well, it's like it has to have been played for like 2 weeks in an actual theater just to be considered
consecutively. Yeah.
Well, if it's going to win an award, I hope it makes it 2 weeks in a theater. I mean, what's the problem here?
Well, no. It's just the whole fact because like a lot of times,
for the nomination qualification.
Yeah, it's just for the qualification because some of these movies are so small they can't get big distributors. And shit.
Doesn't that guarantee that and by the actions of the Directors Guild, doesn't that guarantee that we're going to get quality films in cinemas? I mean, I don't see the downside here.
I don't see the downside either. I think it's a great thing what they're doing. I think it's great.
Well, no, but just to kind of clarify what I think you're saying, Mike, unless I'm wrong here, I'm gathering is because it used to be, like I said, like Script and I were saying, it used to be at least 2 to 4 weeks that the movie had to be in theaters and it had to, to be qualified. And that was the whole gripe about some of these directors who were making these straight to Netflix and Amazon movies. Well, so this basically changes the rule then. This says all you have to do is have it in theater for a week, then you can throw it on a streaming service. And the reason is because of the day and date thing. So what that's going to do is cause HBO Max to not be able to drop their movies day and date anymore like they had been. Is that what you were going to say, Culture? Sorry.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I mean, Disney is probably going to pull out of that whole thought process too, because they're really not making an exorbitant sum with their Premier Access. I mean, and there's a lot of numbers to back that up now. So, there is no profit in it for them.
Yeah,
right?
well, some of these movies are not going to matter. Like they know Black Widow's not going to win any major awards, right? So that one they're not going to care about. But what it will affect is if it wins any special effect awards, editing awards, sound awards,
soundtrack.
And that's where some of these movies like Fast 9 and Quiet Place and all that kind of stuff kind of shine more so and get some recognition, like Suicide Squad of all things for makeup, for instance.
Most outstanding Mexican and an Iron Suit award, No?
Underrated. Adam Wolford says, no, it should have been the movie the fans been asking for from the first Avengers. Budapest, we want to know what happened to make her think the invasion of New York, think it was the same as Budapest. Yeah, that's a good question. And this movie's supposed to bounce around, so we may get like that. And I bet you the movie starts with that. And it's a real throwaway bunch of horse shit.
Oh, probably. I mean, we
know what I'm
said
saying,
something
right?
to it's a MacGuffin. We said put that in there to say something like, oh yeah, they've been through tougher situations. It's an in joke. We'll never know what really is. And if we ever saw it, it would never live up to our own imaginations.
They did the same thing in Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
They kept referring to old jobs they did together that nobody knows about.
Yeah. And then just so you know, the individual I was talking to about Black Widow got back to me. And yes, Taskmaster is the daughter of the main villain who controls the female Red Room assassins.
Yep.
Natasha thought she killed her during a mission. Turns out she did survive an explosion when Taskmaster is unmasked. She is scarred from the explosion. It is pretty dumb.
Is she played by Greta Thunberg?
That's a pretty good deviation from it being, I think, Tony Masters.
Yes.
So
I'm pretty sure it's Tony Masters. Yeah.
How dare you?
But it does solve the problem that Script and I talked about weeks ago, and I think he mentioned it before I got here, that you end up, or maybe as I got here, that you don't have a man and a woman fighting, because right now that's a no-go in Hollywood.
Right? Which is strange, because that's their entire body politic right now is, women fight bad man.
That's kind of what we got. And then Nikki D coming in. Thank you so much for also being a supporter of the channel. Says, do you think Feige will allow Raimi enough creative control to direct Doctor Strange in his own vision? Or will
I'm going to jump in on this one and say yes.
I'm
going with a definite yes on this one, because they said something about giving him a little bit more reign, but not making it a horror movie.
Huh. I'm curious to hear what Script thinks on this, and I'm going to go with Jesse on this. Because I said right from the very, very, very start, before any of this Spider-Verse stuff was announced, Toby coming back and all that crap, I said to Andre, I'm like, you don't bring Sam Raimi in just to do Doctor Strange 2.
No, he's got to do something cool.
There's something else to this. And then like a week or two later, we started hearing about the Spider-Man rumors. So I'm like, something's up with this. This is leading to something bigger, different. And remember, James Gunn was supposed to oversee the cosmic side of things before that whole kerfuffle.
He's been reinstated onto that part.
He has, but who's to say that they don't have Raimi involved now with a little bit more, like seeing over the magical side of things? And there's been a lot of
He is Evil Dead.
That's what I'm saying, like a bit more of the darker, because we've got other darker things coming, like Blade and a few other things. So I wonder if that's not the case. Like,
he's word on who's going to be Blade yet?
Yeah. They got the Mahershala Ali, or however you say his name.
Mahershala Ali, who's older actually than I think Wesley Snipes.
But Doctor Strange, I think, is going to be an odd duck. But Raimi being involved, I think, says a lot more for it than we think. I think some more is going to spin off of the whole Spider-Verse thing. I've been hearing some rumblings about that. So this may be Toby's last hoorah, but then again, it may not.
See, I hate to say this, but I could care less about seeing Tobey Maguire again. If you're going to pull out one character, bring Willem Dafoe back.
Well, that's a plausibility. Awesome. That's the thing. Because they're kind of, with this multiverse thing, they're opening it up a bit. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Molina's back, so yeah, you're going to. I would imagine you probably will get.
And I believe Jamie Foxx and him both acknowledged or confirmed that they are playing their initial versions of the characters.
They did. Social media.
We just lost Mike.
So it's going to basically come down to a big slobber knocker.
Oh, he'll be right back. His mic died. It's kind of leading up to a Sinister Six movie.
Well, you know what? One Spider-Man is greater than the X-Men. I hate to tell everybody this, but when they first met, Spider-Man beat the shit out of the X-Men.
Yes,
all of them.
Well,
it was easy for them.
You're kind of right, Vertical Horizons, except that bringing in Raimi means you're bringing in a lot darker stuff, right? You're getting based on the reporting around, especially Doctor Strange, it's going to be darker. I mean, and I think he's really, when it comes to Venom and a lot of the horror stuff and everything else, I mean, it makes sense to bring him in to ride herd over that kind of thing. Have Gunn do the weird
cowboy shit.
Well, I bring it up because there's some strange shit going on with Spider-Man. I feel like there's some. I've been hearing a few things, but I wouldn't be surprised that there's going to be some tug and pull with Spider-Man here, because he's only got the 2-picture deal again. But from what we've heard, everything's like 50-50 now over there, as far as like what Disney and Sony are doing to pick up the checks and all that kind of bullshit. Yeah. And Feige's overseeing a lot of shit. Now, whether that's a positive or a negative right now, I'm not sure.
But having Gunn to do one thing and Raimi to do another thing, you've been just riding herd. I think Feige would be totally fine with that.
Well, the thing is, it's still under the auspices of Feige. So Feige says, this is what we want to do. You can do anything you want so long as it reaches this result. And that's pretty much as much freedom as Gunn is given. And I think at the best case scenarios, he gives that same thing to Raimi, but he has not given that freedom to any other director.
Russo brothers. Yeah.
Russo brothers, they pitched Infinity War and Endgame first before they pitched to Feige. And Feige said that kind of lines up with what he wanted to do. And they went with it, and it was a big mistake, in my opinion.
Okay, then. I just feel like that Sam Raimi is a good guy to add in because he could bring the horror, he could bring the humor, and he knows how to hold back and not make it stupid, or he can make it goofy if he feels like it in a moment. He's very good at playing a lot of different angles, and he's also smart enough at this point to not put in stupid shit that makes no sense. I mean, the first 3 Spider-Man movies, the first one was good, the second one was all right, and the third one was bad. And then, of course, you have
the fourth one would have been terrible.
Dancing.
I've read it. I've read the outline for it. It was pretty bad.
Well, Read by Nature asks, I wonder if Sony and Marvel will split the Spider Baby. I don't think they will, and this is me just purely speculating on what little I know. But I do feel like there's a tug and war going on between Pascal and Sony and the Rothman and people at the head. Like, Rothman would just as soon Disney deal with it and he not have to deal with it and just collect checks. Because he is not somebody who's into this superhero shit. He doesn't get it. He don't like it. He don't understand what makes it popular. He just as soon the shit go away. Pascal, on the other hand, she just wants to do her own thing. And if she can trick everybody into thinking that they're Marvel movies and collect all the profits, that's what she'd like to do. She don't want to share shit. Yeah. And she wants to blur that line big time, but Feige won't let her. So between, you got a problem here, and the problem is that the story we've heard of Amy Pascal is that her and Feige do not fucking get along at all, and that stems back to the fact that he used to be the one getting her fucking coffee, and now he's the most powerful producer in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she should have been nicer.
Well, the other famous story, Jesse.
The sandwich one?
Happened?
Yeah. One day, the day he came into, Rothman said, you got to talk to this Feige guy about the Spider-Man deal. And he came into the office and he proposed the deal, and Amy threw a fucking sandwich at him.
Wow. Okay.
Told him get the fuck out.
Amy has a reputation that's been backed up by those email leaks. So
that's what I'm saying. I totally believe this story. And even down to the get the fuck out was exactly what she said.
Why do you got to rage over a movie idea?
Because this is all she has. She has nothing left. She's grasping to
got one of the greatest fucking jobs on the planet.
Not anymore. She don't.
Jackass. Well, yeah. Well, there you go.
Well, she's
Jimi Hendrix would have never been in a band if he was a jerk.
What? Not the first, but one of the longest. She was the longest running, I believe, female president of a studio, right? Script.
Yeah, her time at Sony was pretty significant.
Yeah, so I mean, not the first, but definitely one of the longest running. I believe the first would have been Columbia prior to that in the early '80s, wasn't it? When they had I can't believe I forgot her name, but
It's escaping me way before my time.
That's what I'm talking. Unless there was somebody before that I'm forgetting. That was the first time they had a woman running a studio in Hollywood, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so she was pretty prominent, and she fucked that up. So I'm thinking that Rothman will keep pushing for them to keep continuing the deal. That's my guess on that. But Mike, are you back?
Yes, sir. Dude, I don't know what happened. Like Windows Update just started going right in the middle of the stream. Is that what happened to you last week?
Well, I did not in the middle of the stream, but what happened was I had it happen and my sound settings were all fucked up. Everything was fucked up.
That was so weird.
Sherry Lansing, yes, that's who I was thinking of. Culture, I think so. Lucille Ball, did she run an actual studio, like a movie studio?
She
had her own
Desi
production. Yeah, that was is that considered a studio then?
It's production company, but still, it produced a lot.
It's more of a production company than a studio, but yeah.
But maybe it was under Gulf Western and Paramount and CBS.
Sofia Coppola, did she actually run? Well, I don't know.
Sofia Coppola hasn't.
Their dad's still in charge.
Yeah.
Max Relax says, "I give you a no hurl guarantee."
If you're gonna spew into this.
Well, that's a director, not a studio head. I'm talking about an actual president of a studio. Which is funny because that movie came out under her tenure, I believe.
Yep.
I mean, there was a time when Amy Pascal was a pretty big deal. But we've rambled on long enough. Hour in here. Let's get into this real quick.
Ask one question first.
Yeah.
It's been bugging me the entire time this image has been up. Now on the left, that's supposed to be ScarJo, right?
No, that is.
Who's that supposed to be? Because it looks like Hillary Clinton.
That is the chick from Quiet Place. That's John Krasinski's wife, Emily Blunt.
I can't think. Yeah, Emily Blunt.
It's a very unflattering angle.
Yes, it
Which
is.
is funny because I think that's the poster shot too. According to this article by one Pamela McClintock, if I could talk, timing is everything. Take F9, and which roared to a 70 million domestic debut over the June 25th, 27th weekend. The biggest opening of the pandemic era. The performance of the Fast and Furious installment recharged the box office battery and helped provide collective sense of confidence for Hollywood's bruised film studios as they prepare to once again release the steady supply of tentpoles. And I think you also misinterpreted the love of rednecks in that movie and the ability for wives to take advantage of a date night, knowing they can get their men to go out and see the latest Fast and the Furious film. I don't know if anybody has an argument with that, but yeah, I'm guaranteeing this movie is big in the South and the Midwest. Go ahead, Jesse.
Stupid, terrible movies. The end.
They are, but they make a lot of money.
But like, I can't imagine the mindset walking in the Fast and the Furious 9 with John Cena's flying car and Vin Diesel, who can't act. I'm sorry, Vin. I love you. You're a nice guy, but come on.
No.
And dude, these movies are fucking torture.
Oh, they are. But let's look at it this way. They're on the 9th film, right? Plus a spinoff.
They need to put that energy back into Jason.
The 9th, I was just going to say, the 9th Friday the 13th movie was Jason Goes to Hell. If that tells you anything, this franchise is doing just fine. $70 million for an opening weekend is nothing to sneeze at. Culture,
that's crazy.
What was the 9th Nightmare on Elm Street?
There isn't one yet.
It was Wes Craven's New Nightmare, wasn't it?
That was 7.
That was 7?
Yeah.
Wow, they need to make more Freddy movies. He wasn't keeping up at all.
If you count the remake, I think there's 9. I guess that would.
The remake sucked.
Yeah, I know. But Mike, was it you or Script that brought up earlier that in the one chat that here? Let me look here. Just look. You brought up a point.
Oh, that because the Scarlett Johansson movie's out, I can teleport and go hang out with her and meet her.
The other point. No, the one about that John Cena's snafu didn't really cost. It was you, Script.
Oh yeah, his gaffe has not really hurt the box office for Fast 9. As far as we can tell, yeah.
No, because Culture, when I finally jumped on your show earlier, you were pointing out that it's fairly in line with the earlier film.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the previous film, Fate of the Eight or whatever. That it's about 15 million down from its opening weekend. This new film. But yeah, pretty close.
This franchise was on an upward trajectory because of which is strange for a film this deep in the franchise. And of course now it's on the downward side of the slope, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe the last one that what's his face was in,
Paul Walker.
I was right about to go there, because do you think that the uptick was because of the death of Paul Walker?
I was going to say, I don't even have to look. I can guarantee you, I would put $5 on it. I go look, and I guarantee you that was the highest grossing and opening one.
Yeah, because it's got to coincide.
A celebrity's last film always has a good box office bump.
So going off that, though, if this only dropped 15 million from the last one in a pandemic era culture, that is nothing to sneeze at all.
Well, and the other thing too is John Cena. Okay, yeah, he's a little wacko, but you don't think, when you think of him, do you think of the F9 franchise off the bat? No. He's coming in here. I mean, this isn't, when you think of the franchise, he's not one of the first 1 or 2 or 3 names that comes to the forefront of your mind. So.
When I think of John Cena, I think of stiff-faced Frankenstein guy.
Yeah.
Well, he annoys me, dude. Everything he's ever been in annoys the snot out of me.
You know what annoys me? He's the big pro wrestler guy, right? And then when you look at the Suicide Squad stuff, Idris Elba is bigger than he is.
Yeah. By the way, I never told you guys. I've been following Idris Elba for years before I've known him from the DJ electro house community. He's been a DJ like longer than he's been an actor.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He seems artsy.
Yeah. Electronic DJ. If you look him, he's all over. He's played all over every major festival around the world for electronic dance music.
All right. Well, I'm going to read this real quick. Early in the pandemic, Universal pushed back F9 by a full year versus taking a chance on the latter half of 2020, as numerous other tentpoles did, only to move multiple times. As it turned out, many theaters didn't begin reopening until late spring 2021. That's only probably in the major cities. Because they were open everywhere for most of the year last year, just in either limited capacity or they were open in the form of drive-ins, turning the theatrical release schedule into a chaotic board game of ever-moving pieces. Now there's a growing sense that the remaining 2021 schedule is relatively safe, save for some small noodling and barring another disastrous wave of the virus. The Delta variant is becoming a concern for the unvaccinated. We think we've really ignited the box office and set the industry on a great trajectory, not only for the rest of the summer, but for the rest of the year, notes Universal President of Domestic Distribution Jim Orr. Paramount's A Quiet Place also has been a major boost for the box office. And Jesus, I was doing so well there, and then my new glasses fell out on me. No, I was just getting bored. Paramount, A Quiet Place also has been a major boost for the box office recovery since its Memorial Day debut. The modestly budgeted sequel has earned $136.4 million domestically, a pandemic-era best, and $249 globally against a $55 million budget. Warner Brothers and Legendary's March event offering Godzilla vs. Kong amassed $442.6 million globally. Oh man, that would have been $1 billion movie. I guarantee it, including $100.2 million domestically, but it had faced many more challenges than F9 because of the capacity restrictions that had been lifted in recent days in most major markets. It also was part of Warner's controversial day and date strategy that saw it released in theaters and on HBO Max. Mask policies, blah, blah, blah. James Bond. Let's get to this part. When you have two films doing this kind of business, it's a very positive sign for theatrical, says Chris Aronson, Paramount's domestic distribution president. Other studios are taking different route in making films available in home and big screen simultaneously, a strategy which Warner Brothers has embraced for its entire 2021 slate. Disney also making some of its event picks available at home for $30 via Disney Plus Access Premiere that includes Marvel's upcoming tentpole, Black Widow. MKM Productions enlists Eric Handler forecasts box office prediction. MKM partner analyst Eric Handler forecasts that the domestic box office will be 90% of the normal in the fourth quarter. adds ComScore analyst, which means it's pretty much back to normal. I don't think we need to qualify how great the numbers are for F9. The film delivered another stinging blow to those predicted the end of the movie theater experience. Patience was a virtue, and this theatrical release was well worth the wait. Now, it just gets into some upcoming releases and the dates that they have now. This is what we've been saying for a while, or at least I've been saying. And even though people keep saying, "Oh, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy," what do you got here for me, Culture?
This is the breakdown of how those films went with the Fast series. Yeah. So I ran the report builder on the numbers, and it shows I was actually off a little. There's a $20 million disparity or $28 million disparity between the previous film and Fast 9.
Still not bad.
$8 million. But you're right. This was Paul Walker's last film. His opening weekend, $147.1 million.
It's a lot of damn money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's substantially different. I mean, and here's the thing: when it comes to the end of the worldwide box office, look at these numbers down here. Furious 7 was $1.5 billion. The most recent one, other than Fast 9, Fast 8, I guess, was $1.2 billion. This one's at $412 million already. Now, the difference is this opened internationally weeks ago. So I guess we'll have to see, but this is the trajectory, and you can kind of see how this trajectory seems to be going for the latest Fast film, which is this purple line, which is right here. It's underneath all these other films.
Yeah. Can I ask you guys a question on the panel? I'm just going to start with my personal experience, and then I'm dying to hear what you guys think. So myself, I've got a pretty, I'll just say, robust home situation. I got an 84-inch TV, 1,500 watts surround sound, 5.1. I mean, I have an amazing experience in my living room. But that being said, I haven't gone back to the theater yet, but I'm itching to. Yeah. And I'm going to go this weekend. But it's been a slow draw. Like I moved into the state over a month ago, and it's been open. It is open. But even I mentally haven't, versus what I used to do is I'd go to movies every week.
All right, I'm going to tell you one thing off the bat.
So how are you guys reacting to like going to see any movie and being excited to go out to the cinema again? I'm curious.
I got to spit it out because I think they're cutting their own legs off, because when they put it out on the streaming service, that instantly kills you going to the movie theater. The other thing is charging $30 for a movie at home. That's killing your streaming money, because then you might as well go to the movie theater, or buy a DVD. I mean, it's ridiculous. But
Jesse, I want to
going to the movie theater is something I really enjoy, and it's something I do with my son, and there's just nothing that's good enough to draw me back into a theater yet. But I'll go, but I'm not going to go if I could just watch it on TV for something I'm already paying for. I'm not paying for the same thing twice. That's moronic.
I think the best way I can answer that question is this. I think the prediction that the box office will be back to 90% of what it was is a good indication that last 10% that hasn't come back yet or are about to come back yet is just the percent that just are either too afraid, which I think is a very minuscule amount compared to the rest of it, which is what Jesse's talking about. And that is the rest, which is probably like a 9.5 or 9% of that.
Yeah.
The rest of that basically are just like, no, I'd rather just sit at home. I've got a big enough TV. I got a decent enough surround sound, or I've got too many kids. And unless it's something that's really going to make my butt get out of this seat and go see it, I think that's the case. And I think that may fluctuate a little bit for the next few years, but I think it just goes exactly with what I was saying though before, is I don't think that this was all going to have the impact that everybody thought it was. And I'll never get a bunch of viewer rights from anybody except for maybe Script Doctor. But
I think people like to go do things.
I do. That's what I'm getting
the
at.
The advantage is you can pause a stream to go to the washroom. You can't do that in the theater.
Exactly.
And if you got a sweet bladder, you're staying home.
The food is terrible.
So Script, what's the you on this issue?
Filthy.
Like, where are you at personally in culture? Where are you guys at on this stuff?
Go ahead, Script.
I need a good reason to go to a movie theater. Because I'm fortunate enough to get screeners sent to me digitally.
Yeah, so you're an exception though, too. Then.
And on top of that, there's not much I'm willing to see in a theater if the trailer doesn't sell me, and that's few and far between. Like the only time I usually go to movies is if I'm invited to a premiere, or if I know someone that's in it and I want to support them. But for like me as a casual person, it's I'd rather go watch something that I know is good or piques my interest that was made years ago than that I haven't seen in a while, or maybe just haven't seen or gotten around to see, than to try and see what's currently being put out today. I mean, it's just
Right.
the tastes are different. Like I've when I'm not busy doing what I'm doing, I usually try to dig deep into see what came out over the last 5 years that didn't have an ad campaign behind it, and is there a way I can watch it and see what it actually is. And sometimes I get pretty surprised with some movies that nobody's ever heard about.
Right.
Yeah. I guess you got also like Film Threat, Chris Gore's channel. He's good at finding some of those, but again, he's got a very broad taste, and a lot of the stuff he likes, I think, is atrocious. But I mean, at least he gets word out there that these movies are around for those that he like.
Infinity Flare says the Fast and the Furious film enjoyability is based on how high you are. Well, I think
I
it
could
also
disprove that instantly.
The thing is, yeah, I was gonna say the thing is with that franchise is that it's got loyal ability. It's a loyal ability. Is that a word? I'm making it a word.
I don't know. They got GTA cars.
There's a lot of loyal fans. Like, I mean, there's a lot of loyal fans because my kid, who fucking has hated like the last 4 or 5 movies, still will see this movie.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few things he does watch, even though he doesn't watch movies. Normies get into this, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Script, you're an exception to this, and I can see in like people like Jesse, I can see making that transition, and maybe even people like Mike once in a great while bouncing back and forth. But me, I there's one thing I noticed when I would do my normal theater routine, which when I had more time, I would go quite a bit more than I used to. Now, when I started working for Midnight's Edge, believe it or not, loyalty, yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking of. I don't know. I make up words sometimes. I like to. I just I don't see the normies getting away from the theaters, because that was something that, and I pointed this out from the very start. Going to the movie theater, as expensive as it can be for some people, especially people with large families, when you're talking single adults, or a couple going out for a date, or an older couple, or something like that, going to a movie is a very cheap and affordable thing to do. And one thing I noticed when I would go would be a lot of times on Tuesdays, and a lot of theaters run these specials on Tuesdays and stuff for like senior citizens and other things like that. And you can go see like $5 movies and shit.
Yeah, but it's still $28 for 2 large sodas and a popcorn.
Not all the time. They usually run some deals, but that takes me back. Takes me back, though, Jesse, to the initial point I kept saying is the problem with theaters, and the reason that most people have to gripe about, go directly a result of the studios demanding way too much of the opening weekend box office.
Yeah.
So they cannot afford to have these people employed long enough, or enough people employed, and that they can't afford to have all the same facilities, and they're charging out the ass for stuff that used to be dirt cheap. And that's the problem. And if the studios were to cut back on that a little bit, then the theaters could afford to take back the price on the popcorn and other amenities a little bit more.
I mean, they could afford, they won't though. But the fact,
it ain't going to change now. You're right on that, Script. Yeah.
The fact of the matter is now is that theaters are going to find themselves in a far more better position to bargain and make deals for their how much they take during that opening weekend, because again, they can always just say, well, we won't host your movie and you can rely on the streaming service. You know, that's going to go to anyways. It's really it's going to be hurting the studios more if they don't actually play ball, because they want those big box office numbers and they want as much as they can get, but they're going to have to make a sacrifice to the theaters to first make sure that those theaters exist so they can get those box office numbers. And second, to realize that, they're not taking home as much as they initially thought before, because their infrastructure for streaming services is going to be a different market that's going to subsidize, I guess, that box office take. Like theoretically, I mean, there's no guarantee of that yet, but theoretically that's going to be the case. And even for myself, like my girlfriend and I, we've been together almost 2 years. We've gone to like 3 movies as dates, and that's mostly because we'd rather go out to places where we can actually talk, have a conversation, and exchange ideas and whatnot. Like we've gone bowling a lot of times. We've gone to like places where you can like dance and talk and things of that nature. You can't talk in a movie theater. Like that's just, it's not polite.
Well, you could, but somebody hits you in the back of the head with a soda.
You are a sweet, adorable dork. So Script.
Well,
but the other part too is like the only movie we talked through is Birds of Prey. And that's just because.
Well, and I could say this also from experience for somebody who's kind of like been close enough to shit. Like, yeah, when you do this kind of stuff for a living and you're involved in, yeah, when you do a date thing, unless you've been with somebody for a long time, sure, of course, the first few dates you do are stuff like bowling and other things like that. But I'm talking like just the general people like that they don't give a shit anymore what their fucking spouse has to say. Like they've heard their stories 20 fucking times. You know?
I talked about my relationship with you in confidence, Tom, not for it to be laundry aired out.
Well,
here, buddy.
I don't mean to be whatever, but if you and Scarlett are going to have some issues, who do you think's going to try and get in on that shit?
Everybody.
Oh, he has
I'm gonna
nothing
be
to worry
first in
about.
line.
Colin Jost is just taking care of Scarlett's kids while she's able to go out on the town and have some fun.
You mean her boyfriend's boyfriend said it was okay?
Well, her husband's Colin Jost from SNL, so yeah, she's
her husband's boyfriend. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, her husband's boyfriend is totally gonna.
I don't know who that is.
But you
He's
said
on
you
SNL, and I don't know who he is.
Did you
That's
say
a
you had
problem
another
with
question though,
Feige.
Mike? Unless I didn't satisfy that. enough
Well,
in the script.
I'll answer the question.
Sure,
Okay.
go ahead. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know you had a question.
I'm not going to go back to a film unless it's something extraordinary to the theaters. It's got to be extraordinary. I mean, unless I'm given opportunities to see, an advanced preview or whatever, which happens from time to time, or that kind of thing. I have no interest unless it's something that's extraordinary. And believe me, right now, I don't see anything extraordinary on the horizon. The only thing that might intrigue me into a theater is probably Dune now. Because I was looking forward to Black
Culture Ghostbusters won't do it for you.
Okay, maybe Ghostbusters.
I want to see Ghostbusters. I want to see Jurassic.
Jurassic? Why?
Because this one's actually possibly going to be what I've been promised for 3 fucking other movies now.
So it's a blockbuster only thing for you guys.
Not necessarily.
I think you guys are right. I think Jesse and nailed it on the head. Really, I mean, and then. Shit, I guess I didn't even think about this myself. Like, that Into the Heights movie, I was gonna go see it like at the local theater here because it was playing. I don't know if it's still playing, but it was playing. It is playing, I guess. But then I could decide, you know what? Screw it. So I got up early at 4:30 in the morning and I just watched it digitally.
Yeah, way easier.
At
your
convenience programming is pretty helpful.
They were playing that one of the mom and pop style theaters, like the old fashioned ones.
I think you're right. I mean, I just said to myself, you know what? I could go either way on this thing, and I'm already paying for it. And I didn't.
That's why they screwed up with Mortal Kombat for me, because Mortal Kombat would have dragged me into a theater, right? Because it looked cool, even though it was pretty terrible. The beginning was awesome.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie was totally not. But I would have probably gone in and then left.
I think you guys are looking at it a bit more cynically than a lot of other people, and I'm not saying I have to be right.
That's because we're not normies.
But the numbers are showing that I'm right. That's what I'm trying to say.
But we're fans,
I know, and that's where I said I know in my circles I'm never going to get anybody to say, "Oh, by the way, you're right." I know that. It's just
I think you are right with regards to people want to go to the theaters. The fact of the matter is that we're getting a very diversified option for the customers to choose what they want to go to see the theaters for. And I mean, the other part too that's also to the benefit of theaters, especially in the United States, is internet nationwide is not very good, especially and streaming services dominant on internet. So yeah, if you have the option to go see a film and you don't have the internet, you're going to go to the theater to see it. Or you're going to go to if it comes out on the physical media, you're going to go buy it or rent it somewhere from one of the few shops that still do that in areas where you don't have a solid internet connection. And that's going to be a thing that's going to keep theaters, in the conversation for at least another 10 years. Definitely domestically.
Yeah,
there should always be theaters, but I think at some point, if streaming overtakes it completely, the theaters will still be there to probably just play random movies.
Well, and this also feeds into the article we covered last week. Well, it also feeds into the article we covered last week there's a lot of confusion among the normies. They don't know that they can go see something on HBO Max, or they don't know what HBO Max even fucking is. They're like, oh, I got HBO Go. Why doesn't that have it on? There's people, or they think something's on Netflix when it's actually on Amazon because they're not like us. They don't understand when they see Warner Brothers and Disney. That's all they understand. They don't give a fuck about what else it is. They don't even know what Warner Brothers necessarily is. The only thing
when I want to know where something is, I end up Googling it.
Right,
Well,
right,
here's
right.
the other part too. It reinforces my claim that I've made for years that the advertisers don't know how to sell anything. They couldn't sell condoms to a 16-year-old boy
Ah!
on prom night. Okay, this is how
Oh,
terrible they
whoa!
are. Trying to get a little racier, sorry.
No, but it's true. You're
It's
right.
just
True.
really bad. I
Oh,
mean,
and I
if we
see
had
Sean, yeah, you're in the chat. I just want to say hi to Sean quick. Anyway, go ahead.
if we had the advertisers that we had in the 60s and 70s, and they were told, "Hey, we have this new product that is direct to home for all the customers," you would be amazed at the ideas and methods they would have to sell that to everyone in the country.
Well, when it
And
doesn't,
it would
go ahead.
hit, and people would know it, and they would understand it, and they would be excited for it.
Now,
And we're not
Vertical
getting that
Horizons had
today.
mentioned Pig, right? Now, a movie like Pig, that is obviously going to be like a cult movie. You know what I mean? How come the movies like that don't get more backing when it's going to be obvious that it's going to have a nerd following?
Well, Pig's
Yeah.
got a weird marketing thing because some people think it's John Wick with a pig, but it's actually not.
I don't think it is either. I think he's just going to find the pig somehow and just.
Well, they're
probably get his
trying to
ass
sell it
beat a
as
lot.
John Wick with a pig, and that goes to what you're just saying. Though, script is that they don't know how to, or they do in certain cases, but they're fucking pulling the bait and switch otherwise.
In some cases, yeah, they copy other models that have worked before. But the thing is that what makes advertising most effective is the most creative way you can sell something that catches people's attention.
I hate to say this, but I think I already know how Pig ends.
With bacon?
No, they already
Hey.
showed it in the trailer.
I
Oh,
think
probably, yeah.
And then we have this other story that popped up. That's kind of not it's quasi related to the last one, but it's more related to what we were talking about in the streaming wars. And HBO Max chief Casey Bloys says we have enough money to compete with rivals. That doesn't ring or say anything about you being successful, though. It just means you have the money to throw at this shit. Warner Media executive calls the streaming platform our own cable bundle and provides an update on Game of Thrones development. HBO Max chief content officer Casey Bloys isn't sweating his programming budget. Speaking to reporters at Warner Media's Hudson Yards headquarters Tuesday morning, the executive says, "We have enough money to compete in the streaming wars. Right now, I feel like we haven't got enough to do the programming we need to do. But there will always be a debate about the right amount of programming, and therefore is the right amount of money. How do you, what?
He says they're going to
the right
spend all
amount
of
of
our
money.
money this
Okay,
year,
he
and then
adds,
next year,
would
hopefully,
we-
there'll be more money.
Yeah, will we have these debates at HBO within Time Warner? How much does HBO need? Do we have the right amount? What is the right amount of programming to reach subscribers? And I don't know. I'm not sure anybody has the exact right answer. Some of
5
it
good
always
shows.
going to be trial and error. Oh my God, is that some word salad? If I ever fucking script, please.
Yeah, that the article was shit.
Translate
Let's
that
see
for me.
here. What is the right amount of programming to reach subscribers?
I get
And
what
I
he's
don't know.
saying, but like, okay, he's talking about how much money they should spend on their programming, right? Now, here's the thing: you can gauge, Casey, how big HBO was and how much money they were bringing in. Okay, to me, it sounds like they're kind of trying to dance around the fact that HBO Max has been nothing but a fucking money cesspool.
Right.
Which is
pit.
weird because it's a subscription service and it's guaranteed money from the subscribers that don't cancel, and they can make a lot of financial adjustments for the whole year based on that. And
They haven't done anything to
they've got a structure based on normal HBO selling it direct through the service provider.
Well, here's the problem with this. And if they would just listen to us, they would have avoided a lot of this shit. We've been telling them from the start, your service, it's got a lot of great fucking content. The best content out there right now. But your fucking setup sucks. Sucks donkey balls. Not only that, the transition and the launch, probably the second now because of Paramount Plus. But one of the biggest failures in fucking launch history as far as a streaming service goes, as far as I'm concerned. A major streaming service anyway.
Yeah,
mean,
you have one of the most lucrative properties all in one spot, but the search function and display is just
Horrid.
terrible.
Yeah, because if you really want to get to everything, it's all down at the bottom, broken up by what network it was originally on. And then you have to look through all of those, and then you have to scroll all the way back down to look at the next one. It's stupid.
Yeah, they really should have organized it more by category of genre and year.
Yeah, like
and
action
alphabetical
comedy,
title.
like, you know.
Yeah, They should have had those as the default, and
No, they
very
haven't.
intuitive search, far more intuitive search, because I know people have gone on there looking for movies that are on HBO Max. They type in the first half of the title and nothing pops up.
Bro, you are so on point. In fact, Vertical Horizons in the chat made the same point at the exact same time. It says, you think HBO Max is... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Was it Sailor Sonic? Sailor Sonic said. I'm sorry, Sailor Sonic. I just tried HBO Max over the weekend. The app blows. It's so hard to find anything. It's such a mess. I haven't canceled my HBO Max, but I have been completely frustrated. It does not roll as smoothly as, like, say, the Amazon Video app does. And I think I mentioned this a week and a half ago when I went on I think it was the rant night. But when I tried to watch Into the Heights, I couldn't find the damn thing. And I'm like, I'm Latin, I'm Hispanic. They must know other shit I watched. It wasn't even on the first page.
Well, I know. Meanwhile, if you look at a grill, you're only going to see ads for grills for the next 3 months.
Well, not just that. I noticed the night that we were talking about it on Paulie's channel, it was the weekend the movie had come out. I had to go searching for it on HBO Max. It was not like anywhere advertised whatsoever. And now that has something to do mainly with that movie. But no, again, I've had I've had my own issues with this thing, but there's plenty of shit on there for me to watch. That's not the issue.
Yeah, that's for sure.
The issue is the playability, like you're saying, Mike. I can't even get it to play in 4K on my Xbox. The only way it plays 4K is through like only certain sticks.
Meanwhile, it should automatically play in the highest resolution possible.
Well, it plays in 1080p, but that's not the point. I got a big ass 4K TV like Mike does.
Yeah.
And I pay X amount a month, $15 or whatever is for the streaming service, and their brand new movies are supposed to be in 4K. I can't watch them in true 4K.
Yeah. I have the same exact experience, dude. Same exact experience. And but I can't say I'm as unhappy with the content once I do find it, once I can find it, but it's not a go-to. Like, what's easier to do on my TV right now is YouTube. YouTube is easier to do on my TV. I can much easier find what's going on with the channels I subscribe to, the channels I'm a member for, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
you can't even find their own shit. I went to try and find Bill Maher's show the other night after the Quentin Tarantino thing. Took me fucking 5 minutes to find it.
You mean on cable or
on
nowhere?
HBO Max?
Oh yeah. When
Tarantino
like that
was
kind
on
of
HBO
shit.
Max, I tried watching. And actually that was in my old thing from before because it actually carried over my old HBO thing, so that was still in my playlist. Even though it was still in my playlist, I still had to go digging for the brand new episode.
So I wondered.
I've experienced that before myself.
Have you guys experienced fucking thing ever with HBO Max? I'm curious.
And then you can't get back to the title.
Yeah. Anyway, you're saying, Mike? Yeah.
Have you guys had any lag issues with them? I mean, since the Snyder stuff, you have.
That was outside of I did Mortal Kombat that night. It quit on me like twice. Kong versus Godzilla digitized on me. I don't know how many damn times. I think it even like zonked out on me once or twice. Justice League, I had no issues. It played just fine.
See, I never had any issues with them either, and I have to use my VPN and US credit card for HBO Max.
Right.
It's not here in Canada, but I think that has more to do with your internet itself and also server capacity for your area, because it goes through various relays by exchange. So every area that they're streaming through, they have to go to that server, and then that goes from there to your house, and it's a whole nightmare of stuff that they have to structure.
No, and that's the thing is it's not set up well for any other services, or it's not on a lot of TVs or nothing yet because it's so new and they're constantly probably working on it. And a lot of these services don't want to pay Netflix for the infrastructure or whatever the hell you call it, the setup, because that's like the key is they own the patent on that whole deal. So that's why they all have to be different.
Yeah, their interface is
that's the word I was looking for.
Yes. And anything that's too similar to it can be legal actions can follow. Yeah.
He's bringing up a very good point here. We have gone from Saturday TV having mostly everything to having 5 to 15 different streaming services that when combined cost as much as effing satellite cable. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that brings back the point. Thank you for that, Brandon, Infinite Wolf. You're exactly bringing me back to my point that we were kind of getting to, and that is they told us what they need as far as subscribers for this to be profitable. They're nowhere fucking near that. None of them are. Do I think HBO Max has surpassed Disney Plus? Yes. But
Disney Plus, I never watch it, and I'll tell you why. I know everything that's owned by Disney is not going to have any sort of edge to it at all, and it's just going to be cookie cutter bullshit. And I don't even go on there.
Well, the thing is the only ones who have the subscriber base to support this right now are Netflix and Amazon, because those are the main two goes. And that's what that one article was kind of saying that we covered like 3 weeks ago on some, I don't remember where it was, but I think it was maybe even on Yours Culture or one of our shows, but where basically people are bouncing around on services. They're keeping HBO or Amazon as their main go-to. And since now that Disney's still affordable, they're hanging on to that. But once that goes up in price, I guarantee you that's going to be another bouncer. And that's what people are doing. They're bouncing around to these other services, like 1 or 2 different ones a month. And that's the only way they can afford it. Just like you're saying, Brandon, it's way too expensive for the average consumer to afford all these streaming services. And you're going to say some culture.
No, I am, because, you know, in service of that, consider this. Disney just did another shell game with their subscribers, because they see the writing on the wall at the end of August, or starting at the end of August, when their churn is going to go into hyperdrive. So what they did is they signed a partnership deal with Amazon. And if you get the Amazon unlimited something, music or some such or whatever, I covered the story this morning, you're getting 6 months or so of Disney Plus for free.
Yep. And on top of that, in August or September, they're going to slowly increase the price, because they're going to ramp up for new subscribers to come for Book of Boba Fett. They are going to overcharge people for that. You're going to see a price hike once they release the actual debut date of Book of Boba Fett. They confirm it. I would guarantee you a month before that show releases, there's going to be a price increase for Disney Plus for new subscribers.
Yeah, well, it's already set. It was set in stone. I think that they were targeting August or September, if I'm not mistaken.
And then on the financial report, they're like, "We are pleased to announce that our Plus service has increased revenues, and we're very pleased with the growth of revenues of our platform." And okay, motherfuckers, you increase the rates. What the fuck?
Yeah, but we already knew that Disney Plus was going to get closer to $20 by the end of 2023.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, and you know what? HBO Max is going to get there fast, and especially since they've already you can do the ad option now. So you're gonna have a lot of these people, including Disney Plus, going, you know what? Maybe we should do ads. Maybe we should do.
They're going to have to, because that's what's going to end up happening again. Like, theaters are going to be the commercial for the service for the streaming service. People are then going to buy their subscription to the streaming service, but if they don't have tiers like Peacock's model, which is probably the best model out there right now, they're not going to hold on to those subscribers, and they cannot keep using big budget films to keep generating subscribers, or at least bringing them back after they cancel within whatever interim period they have. They have to hold on to them, because that guaranteed money is liquid money for them to produce other films and other programming for their streaming service.
Well, and this is one of those things that nobody really pays attention to. Even with the bundle package, those bundle packages are reducing the ARPU. And I know I'm a broken record when it comes to this stuff, but with all of the millions of people they signed up in India recently to replace the millions of people that they lost recently, the ARPU for any of those millions of subscribers in India are only 70 cents per user. Average revenue per user is 70 cents.
That ain't shit.
Well, go ahead, Trip.
I mean, the rest of it is basically maintenance costs.
Yeah.
House Atreides. Well,
please.
I was gonna say he brings up a point. He has a question. House Atreides, thank you for the Canadian $5. Even though it's Canadian, we still accept it here. That's a crap.
God bless Canada.
I know, Tom.
Canada.
He says, why do you keep bringing up Amazon streaming when it's included in Amazon free shipping? It's false numbers. I barely watch Amazon Prime Video. You are right to a point. A lot of people do watch it, though, and more so now than used to. And, when they have event movies like Borat and Coming to America, and they do have a lot of shows that are actually in the upper echelon or whatever you want to call it of streaming shows. So they're nothing to bulk at. They are one of the bigger streaming services now overall. Now, you are right, though. A lot of people do have it specifically because of the Amazon Prime. That is a big bonus to having that, and that's why a lot of people hang on to it. But
Yeah, I
The
have
thing
Amazon
is-
Prime, so I
yeah.
automatically have that. So why would I get rid of it? It's
Right,
just something else I have to do.
exactly. So go ahead,
Yeah.
Script. Or
Oh,
whoever
I
was gonna go.
wasn't saying anything. Sorry, I thought it was
Yeah,
culture.
it was, yeah, and that's fine. No, it's just, a lot of people watch their video services. There are streaming numbers to support it, stuff from Samba and other locations that are telling you, including Nielsen, that tell you that people are watching their streaming programming. So it's pretty well utilized. And if you want to look at, somebody who is, doesn't include free shipping, you look at Netflix. And Netflix's numbers, they're in a profitable point. But how many subscribers did it take for them
Netflix
to
is
reach
always
profitability?
living hand to
How many
fist.
years bring forth quality shows too? Netflix is good at that, where these other streaming services aren't. I mean, Disney has The Mandalorian, and Star Wars people are Star Wars people, but what's HBO Max have?
Well, the thing is with Netflix, though, is they're still living hand to fist. They still don't technically have enough subscribers.
Why is that?
Because they
they've
don't
been
have
around
enough
forever.
subscribers.
It's called Netflix and chill, but they're not making proper
Why do you
money
think they
off their
keep
product.
making? Well, they keep raising their prices. They spend way too much money on their own shit,
Mhm.
and then
Some of their shit is good sometimes,
and they're losing all their deals with all the other studios.
And that's why they have to do that, because of the exact reason Tom just said, because they don't have deals with the other studios that they used to have. So they have to manufacture their own original program.
Yeah, but is everyone like consciously edging them out of the market, or is it just through their own missteps? Or
They're not the monster they used to be. I think if anything, Amazon still is looking better than Netflix. What do you think, Script? On your
dude, Bezos is making a space company. You can't mess with that. You can't mess with.
Well, even
Amazon.
without that, I mean, Script. What would you say right now, as far as like your point of view from inside the industry?
Amazon's in a very good position. That's the best I can put it at right now. Netflix has been in kind of panic mode ever since the studios started pulling their content away from them to put on their own streaming services. So Netflix has been trying to burn through money to supplement that missing content with other shows and other productions, and even going so far as to reaching out to named directors that could bring people to their platform. We touched a little bit on Steven Spielberg's deal with Netflix through Amblin. That's kind of big news.
Crazy, yeah.
And they're doing that. Amazon's not doing it. They don't care. Disney Plus doesn't have to worry too much about that. They have their family titles, which has been very reliable for young parents and children. And right now it's going to be a battle for the number 2 spot, and that's probably going to be between number 3, because Amazon's always going to be kind of number 2 for a while, but that's going to be between Disney Plus and HBO Max.
Yep. And you know what? And I'm starting to believe this more and more. HBO Max is going to be the 3rd spot.
I think you're right, and I think
it will be.
I think Netflix is going to lose a little footing because it does not have. It's not going to have the exclusive deals that the other guys do, and they're going to have to hope that they get some more hits like Cobra Kai and things like that that really, flare up everywhere and people get wanted.
Yeah, but do you think that will, like, to compare it to gaming, will that make them Nintendo in like the 2000s, where it just kind of hangs
Netflix
around?
Right now, Amazon is more like Nintendo. Netflix is more like Sega. And then that would make HBO Max kind of like what was the third party at that time? Because it's pre-Xbox, or
Atari.
Well,
died.
you had Intellivision, and you had you had ColecoVision. You had.
Well, you almost need to modernize it because you need the 3. So you need like Sony, you need
Xbox,
you need Nintendo,
Sony, Xbox, and PC. There you go.
or whatever. Yeah, like those 3 spots.
analogies.
But I really feel like Netflix is not, unless they can come up with something here, or they buy like Sony Pictures or something like that. I just don't see them being able to compete, and their price keeps going up. Disney is going to consistently stick around and be a thorn in everybody's side. So
they're the biggest studio right now, and they are, and sure,
they have the shit that everybody wants. Yeah. And they said already $200 million or 200 million subscribers is the magic number they have to get, and none of them are really close to that besides Amazon.
Yeah, but they're getting there. But here's the thing: I still think, because of the Discovery Warner deal, because of the merger there, I think you're going to see massive progress for HBO, and that's why I'm confident they're going to be in third.
That
place.
is a great move, but that's the move they should have made to begin with. So, I mean, before I jump back into this article, let's be real. That's why that move was made, is because they fucked up the streaming service.
Wow.
But speaking
as
of,
long as I can hold on to South Park, I'll keep HBO Max.
Sony's going to get acquired. I'm betting you. Sony
I
and
think
Lionsgate
Paramount will before Sony will, but you could be right.
Yeah, Sony's got a lot of money.
I don't know about Paramount. Paramount's, for some reason, they have creative ways of holding on, but Sony, I think, is I
just don't know how much longer they're going to want to deal with Paramount, because it's dragging CBS down.
Well, it's killing national amusements. I mean, let's be real.
I mean, even though network television isn't the greatest spot it's ever been, CBS has never been in the worst spot it's been in right now, probably. And
that's true. But the thing is they've made this past year and a half, they made a massive investment into original stuff. And if that pays off next year, they're not going to be the top 3, but they're going to be in a much better position than they've been in for a while.
Well, you're right to a point. Like, I will agree there, because I did see some story about that recently. I didn't get a chance to read it all, but like there's some moves and grooves going on over there. What were you going to say, Culture?
Oh, I have no idea. Other than I think that it's 100 films for next year. That's their plan.
Yeah, they got 52 for HBO Max alone. So, or I mean, Paramount Plus alone. And that's one new one every week. So let's continue with this. He goes, and those so-called streaming wars nearing the tipping point, and with Discovery set to merge with Warner Media in the next year, the company is continuing to lean into its streaming service HBO Max with an ad-supported tier recently launched and further international expansion plan. Now let's talk about that for a quick second. That, I think, is the counter to the whole people dropping services. What do you guys think? Because I think that brings down the cost. People are already used to commercials. I think that's also a way of getting the cable subscribers off the cable, weaning them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's also, and actually, Golgo brought up something that Valiant Renegade brought out that, again, is one of the things I harp on all the time, which is Discovery Plus's ad-based services. They earn like $5 a month or something like $6 a month in the actual subscriber for their ad tier service, but they make $5 in the advertising revenue from that subscriber. So they actually make more money than their people that pay full price. I think it's $7 for their ad free. So actually make more money on the people that don't mind ads. It's insane.
And that's actually goes back to the aggregate. Is you're going to have more people that are going to sign up for the free service or the very minimum service with ads, and that's going to allow them to drive up the cost for placing those ads in those programs. And that's just basically your old network formula, which is the higher ratings you have for the show, the more expensive the commercial time is going to be. The Super Bowl is your base model on that. Like, people spend millions of dollars to get an ad placed during the Super Bowl. And
Mike,
that's how they make they make tons of money on that. And the same thing, and like Peacock right now, they make their first 2 tiers, they make 3 times more money than their paid full service subscribers, is my understanding.
Yep. That's true.
Mike, you were going to say something? Did I hear you, Mike, or was it just other noise?
I think that was a dog scratching.
Oh, I think, because he's muted. Okay. No, because that's a good point. But that also, it's like they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot by making shit like Discovery, because you want programming that people actually want to fucking watch, so you have more people watching. Because unlike networks where it's kind of a guessing game going off of whatever the last quarter's ratings were, or whatever, the last season's ratings, however that works, like in this situation, you have exact numbers. Like, you can say, we have exactly this many people who watch this fucking show. They watched your commercial this many times in that time period. You want successful shows and movies so people actually watch them, right? When I had Paramount Plus there for the Discovery bit, and I had the ad version because it was cheaper, they couldn't sell half the ads.
Right.
And you know how I know this is because all the ads were for Paramount Plus and for other CBS shows. And I'm not stupid, so I know that means, they couldn't sell those spots.
Yeah, I think I had like a version of a streaming service that had those kind of ads, and the ads were just repetitive. and it's the same ad. I
Oh, yeah.
watched like the same
Oh, I can't
insurance
stand
ad.
that.
I remember in early
4 times in a
streaming,
row.
it was like that too, especially Hulu. You'd literally get the same advertisement.
Oh, the 18th
fucking
time you've
times
seen
in
an
a
ad,
row.
it's just like torture.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I get it. State Farm gave you money.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep, I've
I'm
seen
so
that
glad that
ostrich
changed.
commercial so many times.
I know, right? Like the early years of Hulu, that was I remember.
Oh,
just
Liberty
about-
Mutual. Liberty
yeah,
Mutual.
Liberty Mutual, and
Emu.
some of those other ones where they just show them non-fucking stop, same one over and over.
Dude,
and over.
I love Liberty Mutual commercials.
Well, no, but like I was saying though, like when
They're the
Hulu and a lot of the
best.
earlier and smaller streaming services first started, like they would literally play the same commercial like 3 times in a row
Hey Tom, Kitty Bear
in
joined
the same
call.
break. In the same break, not just in the same show, but in the same break. Anyway, Platonic Guardian, that's a new name. Says with $5. So the streaming services are becoming like over-the-air TV networks. Yes, they are kind of.
Yeah,
PS
it's a lateral move. You're basically being moved off of network television or cable television over to a streaming service where the only benefit is you can now pause it because it's not going to be live. There's not going to be any live broadcasts.
I've always wanted my shows a la carte, and that's never going to happen.
It is,
A la
but
carte
it
gets
isn't.
expensive, especially
Yeah.
from service providers. Like
All I
Very
want's
nice.
American Dad, South Park, occasionally Family Guy, and The Curse of Oak Island.
Well, yeah, and the a la carte thing, like Script was just bringing up real quick, was a point. Like that's why a lot of them didn't get to do it because they learned that that's how much a lot of these cable companies were paying some of these stations to be on there. They had to have all these subscribers basically amortize the cost, whether they were watching them or not. Go ahead.
There was a landmark legal case at one point in time against cable providers that when somebody didn't opt to purchase the sports tier with ESPN, they were still being charged it subtly for ESPN to offset the cost of having ESPN on the cable provider, and it was pretty significant. And there was a substantial settlement that was awarded to a class action. It was interesting.
Yeah, some of those channels were like that. HBO used to be the same way. It was like the rest of the premium movie channels were like $3 each. HBO was like 15.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
Well, no, it just means they can charge it. But no, to finish the super chat.
Really.
Says, P.S. Streaming pixelation is why I prefer red boxing Blu-rays. I agree, Platonic Guardian. I prefer watching physical media as well. There's a lot of advantages that you get there. Goddess of Whim, our good friend, comes in with $5 and says, streaming is what you done for me lately. How many streaming series have a high rewatch value? It's a one and done. Move on to the next thing. No, you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
Goddess of Whim. The only streaming series that I can think of in recent years that I've watched more than once has been Cobra Kai.
And Ash versus Evil Dead for me.
I have to finish that yet.
That was on
I
Stars, yeah,
and I fell out of
they
that.
got ripped off.
They
and
did.
canceled.
See, now that's the thing is that's a show
wait a
that
minute.
could have probably survived had the streaming services been stronger at that point.
Because
then
the new
maybe-
like usually when you add new characters for a new show, it sucks. I really enjoyed all the new characters.
You know what? But I'll make an argument for HBO Max because I've gone back and rewatched like Game of Thrones, at least the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones. For a couple of times, and I never wanted to purchase that in physical media because of how it ended. So it's like,
well, that's a good point. That's a big draw for HBO right there.
Yeah.
Kitty Bear is now a member. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you for that.
Welcome to the church.
There you go. Wolverine 626 says, who do you think buys Sony, Paramount, and Lionsgate? Oh, good questions. Well, if scripts to be believed, Paramount will be spared because it's part of the bigger picture over at National Amusements and all that business. So that's kind of part of its own thing there. Sony has been notoriously up for sale for how long now? Like,
Yeah, but is it
It's
just
going to be
sounds
sold off in bits. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be sold off in bits, most likely.
well, here's the thing. Sony's not going to part with any of their video game stuff.
none of that.
They're just gonna dump Columbia and TriStar and all that shit, and then the other 10 or 20 fucking production companies they have underneath the Sony umbrella.
Well,
And all
their
the
film and TV
catalog.
stuff is going to be completely up for sale.
And that's the thing. Sony Television is worth a lot. They've got a lot of shit. And I mean, in Columbia's catalog is nothing to really sneeze at either. I mean, they've got some pretty big hitters in there. Now, Sony doesn't really have a shit ton of franchises. That's the thing. Spider-Man is their bread and butter, but they don't own that.
Mm-hmm.
They own Ghostbusters and a couple other things, but outside of that, they're pretty slim on franchises, which works well for Rothman. So here's my argument there is I think Sony will, even though they'll be quietly, secretly up for sale for as long as they have now, I don't think they're ever going to sell. I don't think anybody's ever going to pony up the kind of money that it's going to take for them to part with everything. And like Script's saying, otherwise they'd have to parse it all out. And I just don't see that. They're not going to part with any of their properties that are game related.
Nope.
Yeah,
So
that's the whole thing. I mean, when you're
it's
talking
not
about
gonna
Sony
be-
and buying Sony, you're not buying the electronics departments. You're not buying the PlayStation. You're not buying
No,
all
you're
that.
buying their studios and their back catalog.
Well, we have another guest coming in here real quick. I want to introduce the one, the only, Robert Meyer Burnett. How you doing, sir?
Hey, man.
If I can bring you to the top here. Here we go. Whoop. Can you hear us? I don't think you can hear us.
Hey,
I
Tom,
can hear you
Oh,
now.
there you go. Okay.
The diversity and inclusion only counts if at least my forehead is above the super chat.
I'm trying here. I'll put you at the
I'm
very
kidding. I'm kidding. I don't care.
There,
No,
Mike.
don't put me. Take me down. Take me down. I'm
No, I
kidding.
actually was going to give you the pass thing to get in here and help me, but
He got you a stool.
But welcome, Robert. How you doing?
Hello. I it's one of those times when it just popped up. The link just popped up, and I just click. I had no idea what you're talking about or
And
what
I
was
love
going to
it.
happen when I got
Well,
here.
I think you'll be just fine. We're kind of talking about the stream. We went from the theaters, gaining back some footing in the battleground to the streaming wars now. And the big question on the board right now from Wolverine, and I was just in the middle of my predictions, is he asks, who do you think will buy Sony, Paramount, and Lionsgate? I was just saying I don't think Sony's going to go anywhere. I think they're safe enough. I think Rothman has been doing enough with them that they'll kind of stay where they're at. Paramount is probably safe underneath that Viacom umbrella or whatever it's called anymore. Lionsgate, though, Netflix will probably snake them up. Somebody like Netflix or maybe Amazon. If not, Lionsgate has always just kind of been able to scooch along and just do their own thing, and they can just kind of continue to exist.
Yeah, they're weird because they stalled out. I thought they were out of business a while ago.
No, they were kind of called Bombgate for a while there by Andre, but I mean, they made a comeback with like John Wick and a few other things.
Yeah, I mean they've got 2 John Wick movies in production. Those are
They have a TV series with John Wick actually that they're
Yes.
That's cool.
and they own the Carol Co. catalog, if I'm not mistaken, and
yeah,
few
they
other
do.
things. I think they just they did have the Miramax catalog, but they sold that to Paramount, oddly enough. But yeah, so Robert, since we get you in here, we're talking a little bit of streaming wars and just the kind of
We're
all
also talking a little bit about like the whole like as the country's opened up now again, the level of enthusiasm. We went around the panel just before you got here and like how excited people are to go back to the cinema and theater versus I shared the story like with me with Into the Heights, how I was planning to go to the theater that weekend, but because everything kind of blew up and exploded, the politics of it, I actually just digitally watched it early in the morning. I got up before work and I watched it. And that's something I had planned to go to the theater on because even though I have a big studio at home or a big TV and sound system, I still miss the experience of being in a cinema, even if I'm there with 10 people, no people, or 100 people. I mean, of course, the more the merrier, I guess. Depends, as long as there's no screaming kids.
Right.
It's the magic part of it.
It really is. There's just a different thing seeing this big screen and the level of detail.
Because you go into this room that's specifically designed for that, and it's yonic. It's like being in the womb. It lets you just let everything else fall away, and now it's just you and the sound and the picture.
I completely agree with that.
So, Robert, what do you think about all that?
Well, look, I think the thing is people like going to the movies. It's a pleasurable experience, and I think that sitting with strangers and all of you are being you're under the spell of this story, if it's presumably a good one, and having that communal experience is a pleasurable, fun experience. And especially when you go into your favorite theater, that's a large theater, presumably with great presentation, which unless you have $1 million at least invested at home, you can't reproduce that experience. And I think people like that. Look, You know, reading both all the trade reviews of Black Widow today made me like, I'm going to go see this movie at the Chinese in IMAX and laser projection, the way I have seen all the Marvel movies, and I was actually thinking about, do I need to go to a theater? But I am going to go to a theater because it's getting, very good notices. And I've been excited for this movie for a long time. I'm going to go. I went I saw Army of the Dead in a theater. I went back and then I saw Fast 9. And I hated both of those movies. I hated them both.
See?
Well,
But-
don't
Wait. You hated Fast 9?
My love of the Fast and Furious franchise is well documented. I
watched it for 2 hours one night. I don't know when it was, weeks or months ago, talk about how amazing the franchise was. And you went on and you broke down movie by movie by movie and what was amazing about this one versus that one.
Was it the flying car?
It was everything. I mean, what's really interesting to me is I've always thought that a movie gets one big ask in it. And that ask is whatever is either not plausible or it's whatever, some craziness. If it's a fantasy film or a horror movie, or you get one big ask. Like, and I think the great example of my big ask in a Fast and Furious movie is in Fast 5, which I think is the best of the franchise. That is that these two cars could actually drag a vault behind them through the streets, because there's no way that you could. I mean, a vault would be too heavy for cars, but you go with it because the rest of the movie earns that. Just like, Jaws earns that a compressed air tank would explode to blow up the shark. So you get an ask. The Fast 9, the Fast Saga, it exhausted its asks 10 minutes into the movie. That whole car chase through the jungle and the people getting shot at, I'm like, okay, clearly no one is in jeopardy in this movie. And by the time they are leaping off the sides of cliffs and one wire miraculously somehow attaches to the underside of a car to carry its weight and fling it across this chasm, by then I'm like, there's nothing left in this movie has nothing to offer me because there's no jeopardy. I can't like action where there's no jeopardy. You have to be able to believe that our characters can die. And clearly that isn't the case in this film. There was no jeopardy. It was completely nonsensical. If they needed to travel to, I don't know, Budapest with all of their equipment, somehow they could commandeer a military transport plane and wind up wherever they were in the world. There was not one shred, and it's so silly to say this about these movies, but the reason the Fast and the Furious movies worked in the first place is because whenever you're watching movies with car racing, the reason that works is because we've all been in cars and we know what it's like to drive fast in a car. So when you're watching cars going faster than you might ever drive, say in the middle of a city with obstacles and having to swerve around other cars, we already inherently know how dangerous that actually is. But when you suddenly make that there's absolutely no consequences of any of that, and then they ask you to believe that there's some giant magnet system that can be that somehow doesn't affect the car that's carrying that magnet, but the magnet somehow can attract the car that's, I don't know, 50 yards away.
They reverse the polarity. Okay.
I mean, I can't buy into any of that. It was all just gobbledygook.
It's like you're listening to you talk about Star Trek Discovery. I can't believe this.
Yeah, you made it sound like the all the car stuff was choreographed by like a 5-year-old kid with Matchbox cars.
Well, and look, that might be cool if there's consequences. I mean, the people in this film, they're flung around like rag dolls, and there's no stakes, there's nothing. And by the time you're launching a Fiero into orbit, I'm like, come on. I'm out. This was a film that was not a movie.
Taking a ride.
It was a 2-hour meme, is what it was.
Not good.
And I hated it.
So
you know what?
Okay,
go back and harvest it for meme material.
So when you say you hated it, when it ended, you felt what?
Angry.
Oh, angry.
Yeah, same as when Army of the Dead ended. I'm like, here. Look, I love fantasy, science fiction. I love exploitation. I love B movies. But all of the best B movies and all of the best exploitation movies make you believe in the reality that's in the frame, no matter what happens. Hey, you want me to believe that a strange puzzle box opens up a doorway to some part of hell and these S&M demons come through and want to tear your soul apart? I'll believe it.
Pinhead was terrifying for me.
Make me believe
that was
it.
a good movie.
And I believe it. I believe it. And I think all of the great exploitation genre cinema, whatever, pick your favorite movie, pick your favorite B film, pick your favorite, like Commando. There's a lot of over the top shit in Commando.
I like when he used the radial saw blades for throwing stars.
Yeah, but I believe that, you know what? A guy like Arnold Schwarzenegger is big enough and strong enough that he could throw table saw blades or whatever and make them work like throwing stars. I believe that could happen. I believed it because the movie made me believe it.
I wouldn't want to get hit with one of those.
No, but Fast 9, I didn't believe any of it. And that bothered me. I'm like, you've made me, Justin Lin. I love Tokyo Drift. Many people don't. I love Fast and Furious 4.
I love Tokyo Drift because I thought it was just so damn realistic.
I mean, come on. That movie, the big thing in that movie is they're drifting in a parking structure. And you know how hard that would be when these cars are inches away from getting smashed. So it's like, okay, that works.
I had an Audi S4 and I used to drift with some guys. And it's no joke. That drifting shit is no joke.
And they do it for real. They've got precision drivers actually doing that stuff.
Yeah.
What you're saying, Robert, is that if someone were to have thrown up in the car that was being flung over by a magnet, it would have at least brought a bit more verisimilitude than what actually happened on screen.
Maybe. And that was the whole thing. I mean, you know, you've already a great car chase is something that's an art form unto itself. And a great car chase, there wasn't even all the chases in this movie were all over the top. They were augmented by magnets or giant trucks, or they could drive off a cliff and a car would have a giant magnet and pick it up in midair. I mean, I'm just like watching this going, come on, man. This was a cartoon. It was a Roadrunner cartoon.
And not a good one at that.
No. And I went into this movie really excited to see it. You know, they even get to the point where they're supposed to explain how Sun Kang got out of an exploding car. And they just go, wow, that was an amazing magic trick you pulled. And I'm like, I don't get it. What magic trick did you pull? Show me how that worked. And you didn't. You didn't show me how it worked.
Basically, nothing was earned. Nothing from your perspective. I hear you. I agree.
And that same with like Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead was the first movie I ever saw that I felt was being made up while I watched it.
Oh, mine was Old Boy, the Korean Old Boy film. I felt that was. That's what I got from that.
Yeah, but
so Parrot Head says Geico. It's so easy. Bad Tom can use it. Alfred, where's the damn button? Anyway, there you go.
Next to OnStar.
OnStar. Turn left, dumbass. Goddess of I said left, stupid. Goddess of Whim says, I'm still trying to figure out how street racers become international spies. The Fast franchise makes no sense the longer it goes. That's probably one for you, Robert. As far as the international spy thing, I mean, is it kind of comparable to stuff like 007, do you think, maybe?
No, because at least you've got Moonraker and other, but at least the Bond franchise understands that there has to be some semblance of reality. There's got to be something in there that you can, if Bond gets too unbelievable, they're not fun to watch anymore. Because in your mind, even if you know Bond's not going to get hurt, you still have to believe that he might. And they certainly have leaned into that in the Daniel Craig era. You know, they've humanized all of that.
Well, you're right. Like every Bond trailer should start with, this could very well be the last adventure Bond is ever on. You know, and that puts you in that mood of, oh, wait, what the fuck's going to happen? You know,
he could be replaced by a woman who may or may not be Latina. It may or may not be dark enough to be Latina.
Hey, look, man, you only live twice.
And then R&B says, watched Castle season 1, episode 6 last night and noticed the villain's alias had your name. Did they name him after you?
They did indeed. Mark Altman, who I made Free Enterprise with, worked on Castle. He was a writer on Castle, and they did. I think they actually even asked my permission. And it was named out. Although I will have to say that, unfortunately, Sonny Crockett's alias drug dealing alias Sonny Burnett was not named after me in Miami Vice. And when he loses his memory and becomes Sonny Burnett for like 5 episodes, that's my favorite use of Burnett in any TV show.
But did you inherit the yacht and all the hot chicks on that yacht?
Right?
Yeah,
really?
no.
You don't try to say you're related to Carol Burnett? That's a great.
I know.
All right. Well, thank you, Gek812. We appreciate that. And Brandon came in before that with, I have to disagree with R&B and we'll pass on Black Widow. Well, Brandon, you have some precedence for that, or however you want to put it, because before you came in here and before we were covering our last few stories, Robert, I actually was breaking down some spoilers from Black Widow that I had gotten given to me by somebody who had seen the film, and they weren't very positive.
Oh. Well, I mean, I've talked to a few people that did see it and liked it.
Well,
you know,
hopefully for the
best. The trades reviewed it. You know, I'm beginning not to trust people's it's very interesting how I think we're in the midst of a fan backlash against Marvel. And it's interesting to see. I'm not sure I understand it quite yet, but
I just want to know one thing: is the action all like over the top and unbelievable, or is it pretty like well based?
In Black Widow,
yeah, because like Black Widow, she's somebody who's supposed to be slick, and she's supposed to be, you know, somebody who could bust out a Hurricane Rana and kick the shit out of a bunch of people.
It sounds like it is good. It sounds like it's certainly not over the top insane.
And you're gonna go see it in the theater, right, Rob?
Yeah, I want to go see it in IMAX.
The best I heard out of it, it wasn't really a review so much as they broke down a bunch of the spoilers, but then their actual review of it was, if they cut 20 minutes out of it, it could have been a 7 out of 10, but as is, it's like a 6 or a 5.
Hey, hold! I have to just take my leave of you just really quickly because I have to grab this
no
call.
problem. Sure. And while you're doing that, Elijah Snow says, compare this to Baby Driver. Which
that's a good one.
What are we comparing to?
I guess
Baby
comparing
Driver?
Fast 9 to Baby Driver. So
well,
I think I should star in the sequel to Baby Driver, and except I have to do the whole thing in a taco truck. I mean, think about it. We'll get more arms in there, more weapons, more knives, more explosives, more money.
But that one's called Bambino Driver, isn't it? No, I don't know.
Oh, I like that. Bambino Driver. I like that.
You should probably reinforce the suspension.
No, dude, I'm gonna get hydraulic. Are you kidding? If I end up being Bambino Driver, I like that. If I'm gonna be Bambino Driver, exactly. Culture knows I'm gonna get. Hold on, Culture knows I'm gonna get hydraulics. It's gonna lift. It's gonna. The taco truck's gonna go.
You're gonna bounce the taco truck down the street.
I'm gonna distract them while they're inside getting all the money. I'm gonna be out on the street.
What are you gonna do about the deep fryer?
That's funny that Robert has.
We may not be able to do the thievery and make the tacos at the same time. We may have to. Well, that's a good one. I got to think.
Then what's the point, man?
I got to think about that one.
Cesario JPN, I didn't miss this one. Says Craig Lieberman, a technical advisor on the first 3 Fast and Furious movies, is on his YouTube channel, noted the sudden shift in tone from franchise was partially due to the Latino market. Follow the money. Oh, that is a very good point.
Yep.
Paulie, I don't know if you're still in the chat, if you want to comment on that, or did you have anything to say about that maybe at all, Mike?
All I can tell you is this. All my cousins and all my uncles love Fast and the Furious.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, literally. And, it's, the car culture runs deep in Latino culture. It runs deep and hard and wide, and it's very diverse. I mean, you'll get the ones, you get some of the ones that are into like, your Audi S4s and, your Mercedes and your fast BMWs with the, all that stuff. And then you get the ones who are into, old school lowrider types. You get the ones who are into hydraulics. You get the ones into performance, rebuilding like, Torino, like that Gran Torino movie, those kind of cars and shit. So, I'll tell you this much, man. All my cousins are like love all the movies and have. Now I don't know about the last couple so much because I haven't been as in touch with them. Since I've been out of touch with like the whole family, for like a year and a half now with the COVID stuff. But yeah, man, I'll tell you, when they came out, man, especially and there's so there's so many Latin tones, between the cast and then where they filmed on location and it's it bodes well. And I think Tokyo Drift just took it to a whole other level because there's an Asian car culture, there's a Latino car culture, and big time.
There you go. And yeah, I can definitely see that, as you were saying. And hey, PJ, how you doing? We were talking about your interview earlier this week.
Hail, PJ.
But Robert has to bail. He's got to do a business call, but that's all right because we're going to be moving on here, and maybe he'll be able to rejoin us later. It happens. Adam Wolford comes in with $5 super chat. Faster and Furious 10. Don takes the moon for family, then defeats the Death Star with the power of family. Fast the Furious 11. Don becomes the God Emperor. Oh Lord, that's probable.
So does this end with him becoming Galactus?
Maybe. And beating Thanos. Stephen Otten says, has anyone seen The Ice Road on Netflix? It's filled with so many woke tropes, it ruins the movie. At least they didn't totally nerf Liam Neeson. No, I haven't seen this script. You see some smaller pictures. Is this one you've seen by chance?
No, not
I
yet.
saw it. Oh, go ahead.
No, I haven't seen it.
If you've seen it, Mike, go ahead.
It sucked.
Oh,
very honest.
It was
a movie to lose friends by.
It's let me put you this way. It was so okay. Hold on. See, I love this actor. He's just amazing. I just love it. But dude, the movie was so bad. Here's what I did. I actually ended up like tearing up the boxes from the move and breaking up the cardboard for recycling while it was on. It was like that bad.
Ouch. And then Joey points out, wasn't Speed 2 done on a taco truck?
No, it was on a bus, Joey. It was on a
Speed 2 was on a cruise ship.
It was on a cruise ship.
It was a ship. Yeah.
Which may have served tacos at the time.
And they drove it into the land at
we need
50 miles an hour.
Though. We need Speed 3 with Mexican Iron Man, and it is on a taco
truck.
A taco truck. Watch that shit. And he doesn't have to worry about going fast, but what he does have to do is serve over 500 tacos in less than an hour.
What?
Big long GTA mission.
What?
And if
my
he doesn't,
grandmother couldn't do that.
If he doesn't, the truck will explode. Yeah.
All right. Well, they're not going to be homemade flour or corn.
Shot. You just ran out of cheese. What do you do? What do you do?
What do you do?
Wait, do that again, Tom. Hold on. Now I'm ready.
What do you do?
I go to the local supermercado and I buy as much cheese as they have in the cooler.
Wrong.
There's a line.
Tacos don't have cheese.
Tacos got cheese.
Not real ones.
Not real ones.
My tacos got cheese.
Yeah,
they
mine
got
do
sour
too.
cream. They got taco
But,
sauce. They got lettuce. They got other whatever else I could shove in there.
What do we got here, Culture? You got to show us some numbers. What's up?
Okay, so I always have to show numbers because this is what I believe. So in 2017, in the years that we were talking about, when some of these films started to make make a dent in things like Coco and stuff like that, we found that the percentage of frequent moviegoers in 2017, the audience was reflected 24% Hispanic Latino. I thought
what? Wait, my people came in second place in something finally?
Yeah. As a percentage of the population. Yeah.
I told you we were into this stuff.
Yeah, you are, and it's funny. I mean, I look at these MPAA reports all the time. This is the annual theme report that they put together, and anybody can look at this. It's available on their site. But they have breakdowns for this, and that number is growing because I believe, if I'm not wrong, Script, if you remember, I think the 2019 report was like higher than that for frequent moviegoers. Was it like 28 or 29%? I think
so. Yeah.
This is just quite curious to me overall. Why do Black people and Asian people go less to the movies on average than Hispanics and Caucasians?
Well, no, it's a breakdown of the total audience as a percentage.
No, but this is almost a mirror image of the other statistics we brought up.
Is this just for an American audience? Because
basically,
MPAA. Yeah.
Basically, Hispanics and Asians, regardless of the percentage they are of the population, go to movies as a higher percentage of the population that goes to movies.
Yeah, it's roughly equal.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And again, I look at this stuff not because I care about the ethnicity breakdown, other than demographically, but because it's very telling at why this is a conversation Paulie and I have all the time, where they really should be driving some of this towards a Latino audience, and you haven't seen enough of those films, and when they do it, they get their face shot off by the industry because their people didn't match some kind of color palette they were looking for, like In the Heights or something, which I think is ridiculous. So, but anyway, there you are.
Oh my God. I know, Tom, how we can make a shitload of money. You ready?
What's up?
Is Tom there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom, you there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's what we do. We make a deal with AMC and we install taco stands in all the AMC theaters because 1 out of 4 people going there are Hispanic.
It's true.
Yeah.
We can have the
Hey,
top
man,
man,
I'm
taco.
not
at least in a
Hispanic, but
stand, and it
I
would be
still think that's a
expensive
great
as all
idea.
hell.
We can have specials for everybody.
They'd have to be good tacos.
We'll have to have the Script Doctor special where you'll have 3 tacos, and then Jesse will get his own recipe. Culture gets his own recipe. Everybody gets a recipe.
Uh,
No,
I'm good
You
with
have
that.
to
for
buy
it.
a lot of napkins
Although-
and get a lot of shop vacs for your movie theater.
I'm all for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I in my tacos really easy because it's more of like a lettuce wrap because keto, so it'll be good.
oh my
You can
God.
get high fiber tortillas.
Are you
That's right, you
saying
can.
Hispanic food is not good for your hair? Is that what it is? It doesn't provide the
No,
proper
no,
nutrients.
no, because I love specifically Mexican food. That's
I know
like
you
at
do.
least-
I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah, like if hours of you want to talk about food, like yesterday for supper I had chicken enchiladas. It was freaking amazing. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I live in this world where it's that's like 50% of my food sometimes in a week.
Yeah.
I love that you said supper.
Well, I hate to move along here, but we do have a couple other stories I want to grab here. And in case Robert comes back, there's other things I want to discuss with him anyway.
yeah.
But this is something Jesse can actually probably help us with. This is in his domain. And speaking of Fast and the Furious, one thing my kid loves as much as Fast and the Furious, it's Grand Theft Auto.
Oh yeah, I
And,
know everything about this already.
Okay, Jesse, this is your
Okay,
domain,
I didn't need
buddy.
to read this article, but there's this dude, and he used to give out like Battlefield leaks. Everything with Grand Theft Auto is never put out by Rockstar ever. It's always about the rumor mill and the leaks. And it used to be, who was it? Like Fun W2 and Foxy Snaps, I think. Then there's this other kid. But all their leaks ran dry, and now there's this guy, and he's getting this from a different source than his other video game leaks that have come to pass. So who knows who this new source is? But he's usually pretty accurate, and people trust him. But it's telling me a lot of stuff that I already kind of assumed. I mean, the rumors for Grand Theft Auto 6 have always been that it's going to be Vice City, but then there was also another rumor that it was going to be GTA USA, which was highly implausible. But supposedly, it's not going to even be the state of Florida. It's going to be a large area that has outskirts of the city and whatnot. And it's going to be a larger map than we have in GTA 5, but it's not going to be an extremely expansive map. But they are doing something, hopefully, that is something that I wanted them to do for years, and maybe go a little more of the World of Warcraft version where you keep adding on territories. So I think they might be adding on territories as opposed to just switching the map up.
I was going to say maybe that is where the USA thing comes in, is if they do a evolutionary map.
If it could be a foundation for something new.
It could be, and that's maybe what this story is saying here. But I just saw this, but the thing that stuck out to me is we're going to be waiting until 2025 for this thing.
Oh, yeah, that's to be
abnormal.
assumed anyway. That's to be assumed.
Well,
and that date isn't even right. That will be kicked back another year.
I was going to say, well, the funny thing is usually within the first couple of years of a new system is when they bring out the new title. This seems like a little off to me, but
dude, it used to be like every few years they bust out one.
Yeah, like
GTA 5 came out in 2013.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's been a while. We're due for this. It should be like next year is what I was thinking.
But but they can't have, after the sheer amount of money that Grand Theft Auto and Grand Theft Auto Online, like number 5, produced, they can't drop a game and have it be buggy, because they will be fucking crucified. All right. They will be fucking crucified. Never be able to be like, oh, trash, garbage. And it will fuck everything up. So it's got to be good off the bat. But they're doing a couple of they haven't said jack shit about character transfer. Okay, so get that out of your head, because it's probably not happening. You're probably starting with a fresh character. But for the story mode, there's going to be apparently at least 2 protagonists. One's female, one is male. Now, that might seem new if you've only played storyline, because it's new to storyline, but plenty of people use chick characters online.
Yeah.
Because for one, they're faster.
Yeah. and they're not bad to look at. So they're
skinnier, so there's less to shoot at. But yeah, it's gonna be a big map. It's gonna be cool. but they haven't given any word on whether or not the GTA 6 and GTA, they're calling it in the rumor mill GTA Online 2, right?
No.
But then nobody knows if these are even connected yet. And the other thing is that later on this year, they're supposed to be putting out the expanded enhanced edition of GTA 5 to hold you over until this comes out.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And dude, I love these games. I mean, I know you do too. And pretty much anything Rockstar kicked out for a long time was golden. I just want that reputation to stay the same because we've had some studios recently kick us in the teeth, like Naughty Dog and CD Projekt Red and so on and so forth. So I really want this to be a quality game. I'm kind of disappointed because I really liked playing 3 characters simultaneously, like in GTA.
There might be 3, there might be 4. We don't know yet.
That would be awesome, man. That'd be awesome.
But some other things that it is going to have is like it's going to be like Red Dead, where like if you're down south, the weather is going to be different than it is up north, as opposed to it just being a weather pattern that's over the map and shit like that.
And if you're down in South Carolina, do you like get a pit stop and get to have cheese grits?
Well, it's supposed to be Vice City, which is like Miami, right? So like I'm hoping for some Bayou. I would love if they put a mock-up of Disneyland in it, because I would love to make some death matches in Disney World.
Jesse takes on Galaxy's Edge.
Or whatever. They always do some kind of fucking whack version.
Take this up your lightsaber, Ray.
I want to grab the super chat here real quick before it disappears. Ellie Moses says, hail Mead and everyone on the panel and chat. I like the Fast movies, but 9, in my opinion, was just too far and crazy. Dom has force visions. I am not lying. Wow.
And Immortal.
I heard in the words of
I heard it was rough. Yeah, I'm torn. That because like RMB. I mean, I'm likely to pop in like Fast 5 to like do house chores and stuff, and have it run in the background. I mean, and I understand people. I mean, there are some movies like that for me that I can turn my brain off and just accomplish stuff, and that's fine. I mean, it's there in the background. I'll be engaged with it momentarily and go on and do other things.
The cars are colorful. I like that.
It's shiny. It's shiny and fast and little flashes.
Yeah,
but
it's feel like you'd be doing stuff.
But no, so like I said, I mean, I can see the appeal, but when they're jumping a car between buildings, like they did in one of the films, I think it was 7. I'm like, I'm out on this.
Wait! You've never done that before, Culture?
James Bond does that shit,
dude. You wait till ICE is chasing you. You'll be amazed what you can do with your car. I'm just saying.
Okay.
One other thing about the GTA thing was that the rumor says that it's going to be modern day, even though they pretty much in the past have wanted Vice City to stick to the 80s, but I guess they're not doing that. Because, once you've had all the modern toys, it's kind of hard to go back to previous technology and be satisfied.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that rolls, I guess. I got one last story here for us. The world of Indiana Jones may be having issues coming to the back to the big screen, but it did not have any issues making some money recently. In an auction, Harrison Ford's worn fedora sells for $250K.
What?
Wow.
What?
I thought down further it said I thought it said it sold for $300.
Let's see here. A fedora worn by Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom sold for far more than estimated Tuesday during Prop Store auction in Los Angeles. The iconic hat from the beloved Lucasfilm series has estimated to nab anywhere between $150,000 and $250,000, according to the auction house. The winning bid was $300,000. The winner was not identified. The fedora, made specifically for the 1984 film, the second installment of the Indiana Jones series, created by Herbert Johnson's Hat Company, who also did the hats for Raiders of the Lost Ark. The fedora was a slight update on the original film's version. Costume designer Anthony Powell and assistant costume designer Joanna Johnston worked closely with Herbert Johnson on the update that incorporated a more tapered crown than the prior film. reads the auction description. The fedora is in excellent condition, showing light wear with some signs of age, and comes stored in a plastic hat box. Dimensions, blah, 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 blah. While the $300,000 may sound like a hefty price tag, it should be noted that a fedora worn by Ford from Raiders sold for more than $500,000 at auction in just 2015.
What kind of an irresponsible asshole do you have to be to spend that much on a fucking hat?
Somebody who has that kind of money.
Someone who has that
I don't
money.
care if you got $100 million. If you told me you spent 50 or 5 or what was it,
Look,
500
I
grand on a
know,
hat,
I know, like Michael
That's how
from
you were
Retro
nuts.
Blasting, if he had that kind of money to just throw away, like if he had a shit ton of fuck you money, I guarantee you he'd buy this.
Who
Like, I mean,
would?
there's a lot of fans.
Me?
you could just have
No, not
one
you,
made
like,
for
Retro
that.
Blasting, for Retro Blasting, Michael.
Just have one
Oh.
made for you. It would cost a fraction of the
True,
price.
but this is the one worn by the actual Harrison Ford. And
Hey, and so here, look, I'm going to say it this way: they're going to try to clone Harrison Ford.
well, duh.
That's, all right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Think
You
about all
spend
the
that kind of money, you know you can.
Yeah.
Well, that just shows that there still is a demand for this franchise, I think.
Well, at least by that person.
That extremely rich fool with a cloning machine.
Yeah. No, look, you have a lot of people that made a lot of money.
Nobody's going to say it.
Go ahead.
It belongs in a museum.
Thank you.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Oh, must have been a
I'm
long day.
surprised
I didn't even see that
speak
coming.
up about the cloning there.
Yeah, right?
I think he's on the phone or something because he's muted.
Who's
with-
I'm not muted.
No, you're not, but Script is now.
Oh.
With that, I think we're gonna do the. Yeah, thank you for that, Rory Mitchell.
Can I just ask a question about Indiana? Is this movie
Sure.
even going to end up getting made now that he got injured practicing
I don't
the
know.
play fight?
You know what Tom
Nope.
said a
Yeah.
long time ago, a couple years ago, and I think it's shown to be true, is that what was that quote you used a long time ago? He says it takes a billion things to go right and only one thing
Yeah.
to derail a whole movie.
Yep.
Yeah, yep.
You agree with that culture and script?
100%.
Think
I
they're going to
do,
be
but when
dragging
it
this
comes
guy
to-
across the finish line?
Yeah, they're going to do that. Disney will do that.
They'll drag it.
They have the means to force this movie through, whether they want to do it or not. They're doing it.
But put on the robot legs, Harrison.
Yeah. Uh-oh, Tom's showing us a thing.
I got some toys here, real quick. Ignore Katie's mess in the background. She tore up her toy. We got RoboCop 2.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Does that have the cap gun back to it? Remember the old?
No, it doesn't
figure?
have that. I don't think, but I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, we got an Ed 209.
Oh, that's neat.
Oh man,
Some
you're going to be buying
nostalgia.
parts for that for years.
I know, right? But they had parts backed up for it though, for years. Nobody cared. Jaws.
Oh, that's pretty damn
Quint.
cool, actually.
Wow.
But they didn't do the Brody figure. For some reason, they couldn't work out with the estate to get the likeness for Roy Scheider. I know. So now, though,
Weird.
NECA, now that you did that, I expect a Jaws in the same scale.
Does he have a separate pair of pants that's all bloody?
No, but this is the he does have a couple of beer cans,
Of course he does.
some gloved hands and one not gloved,
Some
a
piano
baseball
wire.
bat, a machete, his bandana that you can put on, his gun, 2 guns actually. It looks like.
Damn,
Oh,
it
he's
comes
got
with
the
a lot
hard.
of shit, huh?
Yeah, it's got
And
the.
am I the only one that used to like get a brick of firecrackers and do action sequences with my little action figures?
No.
No, you're not alone. And it actually looks like them. They did a pretty good job this time out.
No.
But NECA, yeah, sometimes I don't know. I haven't pulled him out yet. I don't know if I'm gonna.
I would actually create like complete like post like devastation like scenes for Star Wars with Caro syrup, blood, and all that. I went crazy.
You gonna go in that cage? Cage gonna go in the water? Sharks in the water. Shark. Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu to you ladies of Spain.
No.
Sail back to Boston. They don't love you coming in, they love you going out. Or if they don't love you going out, they love you coming in. That's what it is. Anyway, let's wrap up this big deal here. Yeah. Anything to sell, kids? Mike, you got anything going on?
Midnight Sage Espanol, Tuesdays and Thursdays. High noon on the West Coast, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast.
There you go.
All right, Script, anything coming up?
No, just I'm still working. I'm still writing away. I got 14 additional pages done today. I got some more I gotta do tonight.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Culture, you got anything coming up?
Let's see. Tomorrow, I think, is tomorrow Wednesday? Tomorrow's Wednesday. So I'm probably going to end up doing a midday live stream rather than doing a video. And other than that, let's see. I don't know. I'm doing stuff. Check out the 6-minute daily during the weekdays. That's fun.
That's always fun.
I blew it up twice this week already. I boomered 2 days in a row, guys. So let's see if I can get
That's
3.
part of the charm.
I guess. It's
You're
part of
on a timer. It's a lot of pressure.
I know.
Jesse, anything coming up for you?
Yeah, I do live streams. I might do some more videos as soon as I get a time, chance to breathe around here. I've just been super busy lately, but I want to stream more. Trying to build my channel and what?
There you go. And you were just monetized. When's your monetization stream coming?
Oh, if you want to do one, we could do one on the weekend, I guess.
All right, we'll talk about that. Yeah. All right, well then hang out around.
If you want a Mexican for diversity and inclusion points.
Yeah, I need to get your number because I'm banned off of the normal routes.
Oh, you're not on Twitter?
No.
No, I've been trying to get his ass back on there.
I have a burner phone I could probably put onto the Wi-Fi and use it in the house.
Yeah, he's just got to make an account where he can get into the group chat and be able to do stuff.
Yeah, or just get on Minds, dude.
I don't know that shit.
Well, then if you briefly need someone with great hair, you can always reach out to me.
Yeah. And other than that, we've got Midnight's Edge in the morning coming up tomorrow morning. I'm not sure who our guest is going to be. Our original guest had to cancel, so I have to figure that one out. Other than that, I think
when's the next MEAD radio?
Maybe tonight. Maybe in a little bit here. Awesome. Never know.
MEAD radio. I got to get my advertising and marketing budget together for that.
Oh, you're great at that. It can't be pirate radio if you know when it's going to happen.
That's true. And you're also supposed to be in international waters.
Arr.
Indeed.
Army matey.
And that was a good ass movie. If anybody has never seen pirate radio, go watch that shit, man.
And you would know, Jesse, since you are a pirate on the crow's nest.
And I like rock and roll.
A rock and roll pirate. There
the
you go.
Weird about
rock
that
and
movie
roll pirate.
Is that,
There's the fucking idea. Script. Write this down.
Take it out.
I got a guitar. My peg
time to go to the bar.
Is rock and roll pirate shanties.
Yeah,
like a hailstorm, man.
It's rock and roll pirate in the shanties.
The band name is called like the Poop Deck.
No, that'll work.
I don't know about the poop deck. That sounds like some boogery.
Genius, says Max Relax. Sold. 1 ticket already.
Yes.
We're on our way, boys. We're on
now we
our
need
way.
18 more 50 cents.
All right. And with that, I don't think it would be a Midnight's Edge After Dark if I didn't come up with a movie.
Yeah.
Me mateys. I want to see that movie right now. Rock and Roll Pirate.
I think it'd be great.
I think it would. It would be amazing. And you'd have to get somebody really cool to do the soundtrack, though. Orville Nation says, how does Culture Casino not have a big shampoo sponsorship deal? This is the question of the century, folks.
Might be. I don't know. Eventually, I'll be a big enough YouTuber that I'll do that. But I really am. I'm legitimately going to be working with 14 Barber on doing a hair care stream regularly on his channel here.
There you go.
Do you actually use the good stuff, or do you use cheap stuff, and you just have good hair? Or what's the deal?
I alternate between good and cheap things, but I always use, for the most part, I use men's based products on purpose because there's a difference. So there you go.
There you go. And I actually have a surprise for those who actually stuck it out. We have still almost all of you staying in from the beginning of the show.
You guys are
So
awesome.
for those who stuck around, here's a special surprise to take us out.
Woohoo!
Here's a video of some history.